is transmitted by AMCO, the transmission experts, with 10 AMCO locations in the OKC and Tulsa metros. AAMCO.com. Time to look both ways, speed up, and merge. This is The Drive with Matt Ravis. And now joined by the middle of the day show, Mark Rodgers and Brad Copeland.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have.
The Drive is on 98.1 FM, WWLS, the Sports Animal.com, and the Sports Animal app. This is what's trending now on the Sports Animal.
Sooners taking the main stage at SEC Media Days alongside the Georgia Bulldogs, the Missouri Tigers, and the Tennessee Volunteers. Here from coaches and players. We've got full coverage. Got Mark Rodgers and Cale Gundy. Mark Long for now down there in Dallas. The Omni. What's up, Mark?
What up, Matt? How's it going?
A lot of people probably think you're at Jerry World right now, which is not true.
I know, because the Big 12 was in a stadium, and it was in a stadium last week, but the original Big 12 Media Days that we came to were here at the Omni.
Is it better or worse at a stadium?
Oh, man.
What's preferable?
It's worse. It's better here. You're at a hotel. It's a little easier to park. It's still expensive to park, but it's a little easier to park.
Makes sense.
And there's plenty of room to interview people. I mean, I don't need the goalposts in the background to conduct an interview or make me feel any better about it.
Right. That makes sense. Let's welcome in Brad Copeland. He's out at Remington Park. What's up, Brad?
Hey, fellas.
How you doing today?
I'm good.
Good deal.
You said anybody winning the cows from Planet Moolah today?
The cows from Planet Moolah, I only wear one ear. As a matter of fact, my headset only has one ear because I don't wear both ears. And This is the one time that I regret that, because it is quite loud, and the journey to the Planet Moolah is quite loud and right here underneath us.
It's only a matter of time till someone starts winning. Are you telling me you had
an interview? If someone is able to secure the elusive unicow, then we need to interview them, because
I'll have Louis keep an eye on it.
A lot of money.
Unicow, okay. Is that like a unicorn but a cow? It's
a bonus feature on the game that you usually win quite a bit of money if you it could be a pretty certain jackpot if you find the unicow.
Well, the grandma jackpot is at $5,743 right now.
That's high.
Now I want to rewind a second. Brad, do you have your own headset?
Oh yeah.
I'm jealous, man. I gotta get there.
Hey, listen, cut loose of a little bit of cash, and you can have your own too.
Oh,
it's not like somebody bought it for me.
Right.
I see.
I mean, he basically went to school with Marconi. I mean, he knows what to do.
You're calling him old, Matt? Is that what you're doing? Okay.
No,
just making sure.
Experienced.
Okay.
Experienced.
Seasoned.
Look, you don't have that kind of track record that Copeland has by.
And I would never even insinuate that. But Brad, I was just wondering, because the headset that I use very often has some hair gel on it from the Ultimate, and when I take it off, it takes some of my hair with
that's
it.
Why
forever, that is part of the reason why. Forever, I thought that was residue from duct tape. And I was like, why can't we get some Goo Gone and try and get this off of here? And then I was informed that, that's hair product. And
it's probably the same substance. It's just used for different forms.
You will learn, young Matt, as you go through this business, assuming that you do, that
with some luck, yeah.
There are a lot of things that you want to have your own of. Windscreens. I mean, I am not averse to going out and buying my own stuff for sanitary or other reasons.
That makes a lot of sense. See, that is the veteran.
A radio guy and a couple of dudes that just like to come on here and talk about sports.
By the way, Jim has texted me and said it's just some hairspray, no gel. But you're exactly
whatever
right.
It is.
You're exactly right, Mark.
Exactly right, Mark.
It's a great question. He can maybe let us know the
might
brand.
Be Dippity Doo.
Could be
Dippity Doo. I wonder if you could still get Dippity Doo.
I don't like to have, if the hair gel is sticky, like it even sticks to my fingers after it is applied, I'm firing it. I need something that's not. Now I do not have Anchorman quality hair, but that's just kind of a phobia of me. Same reason I don't like crunchy vegetables.
I literally had never heard of Dippity Doo, but I am now looking at a bottle of it.
Old school.
Yeah, it's different than it used to be. It used to be like a bright blue or pink
That's what I'm
gel
looking at.
in a little tub. Oh, you are? Because I'm looking at Amazon, and it looks completely different.
Looks like formaldehyde.
Oh, gosh. Maybe that's what it is.
Like. So anyway, that's good stuff there. Mark, takeaways from media day. I know, has Brent addressed the media? Yeah, we've been trying to follow from afar.
Late next hour, I believe.
Next hour.
12:50-ish, somewhere
Josh
in there, I
Heupel
believe.
had just left the interview room where Josh is staying. Well, I think first of all we need to begin every day with an update on our safety, okay? Because if you look where we are staying in this in the beach house that they've talked about, we are smack dab in the area where there's potentially some violence going down. So Cisco and I said today, he asked me if I heard any noises outside. I said no. I said I usually sleep at home with a TV on, but there's not a TV in my room. And so I said I would have heard it. I didn't sleep very good last night, so could not hear any potential rumblings going on outside the house.
You play the game of fireworks or gunshots.
The doors were locked. Kel was the last man out of the house this morning, and he was admonished to be sure that the door was locked there. So
what did Cisco cook up for dinner?
I took the boys out to dinner last night. I took them to Maple and Motor. You know me. Brad knows me. I know Brad. I mean, we are the foodies. We like to go to certain places. I've got several potential area restaurants in Dallas that I like that are close to where we are. Maple and Motor is a dive hamburger joint. They cook some of the best hamburgers I've ever had. They're not the typical Oklahoma onion burgers, but it's fresh ground beef. They cook it medium rare. It's just off the charts good. Everybody had a big meal last night, so that was good. There's a couple other places.
I can't believe that you did not go to the home run derby, if for no other reason than to see the debacle that was the national anthem.
Oh, Lord.
We watched it. I mean, and Cisco was the earliest to bed last night. They're giving him grief about going to dinner early. I mean, he went to bed at an obscenely early hour. I don't care what time he eats dinner. And then Cale was next. He had an early morning. And then Curtis and I stayed up till the very, very end of the home run derby. And I was struggling to get to the end of it. I lose interest in the home run derby. But the final bat got dramatic. I mean, that ball to the wall from Bohm that went off the base, that was just good stuff.
Wanted to see Bobby Witt.
Thank you, Witt.
Yeah, want to see Bobby Witt win.
That's a great Accept song, by the way. Balls to the wall.
Ball to the wall.
Copeland will know.
I got to tell you, I had never heard of Ingrid Andress before last night. I don't really know who she is, but I have a feeling I may never hear from her again. I mean, that was one of the most awful, not like I give a pass to like Roseanne. Everybody remembers that as being remarkably bad, which it was, but it was intended as a goof. I don't think that girl was trying to goof around. I think that was terrible.
Is it worse to be intentionally disrespectful or come off disrespectful and not mean to?
The former.
I
would agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I had such a big problem with Roseanne's, because she just, I thought she was intentionally trying to be disrespectful or trying to do her shtick. Maybe, I don't know. It's one thing if you just can't sing good. Now how you get selected to sing the anthem when you can't sing good, that's a whole other ball of wax. But to see, if you haven't seen it, you need to not just listen to Roseanne, but watch Roseanne. And I was not a fan.
Well, that's how you know that it was intentional, because she grabs her crotch and spits at the end. And then they said shortly afterward that, we were doing it as a joke. Well, okay, some people are obviously going to be put off by that. But that girl last night just shows you how you don't really have to be able to sing to be a singer. And if you listen to it, you got to watch it all the way through, because the first little bit is not horrible. It's not great. But it's like, okay, this is a hard song to sing. It's not bad. But, man, when she gets to the Rocket Red Glare, it could shatter windows. It's so bad.
She was finding different keys that weren't previously existent before. Like
it was unbelievable.
And they introduced her as a 4-time Grammy nominee, not a 4-time Grammy winner.
Doesn't say a whole lot for the Grammys.
No, it doesn't.
That was a bad sign. What do you think happened? There had to be a little bit of a technical issue going on. The earpiece out at the very end. Do we have comment from her, or is she still in hiding?
She's still in hiding. Now, I actually do have somewhat of an explanation for you. But first,
drugs?
I feel like we should not drugs. More technical than that, although that makes sense too. But let's just hear just a little sampling of what it sounded like last night.
Buffering.
Oh, the dreaded wheel of death.
The processor doesn't know what to do with it.
It melted the computer here in the studio. That's how bad it was. Well, I'll go ahead and give you the explanation here. A lot of times when you are working live with something,
like we are right now.
Yeah, that's right. But we don't have auto-tune. They don't put auto-tune on us. And so the theory from somebody was that they had set auto-tune to the wrong key. And so she's working really, really hard to push against that. Because what auto-tune does is it corrects your the pitchiness up or down to the correct key.
That's a great explanation. And it is Cale, get out of our shot. Thank you. I'm trying to look good here on camera. That's
oh.
The bombs bursting through the night that our flag was still there.
Oh.
Okay, that's bad. That's not Roseanne bad. I would listen to that before I listen to Roseanne.
We have one of the top defensive players in the country joining us right now. So
hope he's still there.
We should not make him listen to that. We should not subject him to that. Because last night was awful. So we'll see if Malachi Starks with us, right?
Yeah.
Did you?
Michael.
Sorry. Did you see that last night at the All-Star Home Run Derby?
I did not.
Okay, then we don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll find it out later. University of Georgia comes in here to the SEC Media Days, riding on a high. You guys haven't lost a regular season game in a long, long time. What about the program? I heard you say earlier in the breakout session that you guys practice harder on Tuesday than a lot of games, and I don't know that is typical of all college football cultures. What do you think that does for your team?
I feel like it provides a sense of confidence when we're on the field on Saturday. That we have, because we know, we see the tough majority of the toughest people we play are each other at practice every day. So I know when we go on the field on Saturday, it's showtime. It's time to go.
Well, going into this season, so this will be your third season at Georgia, correct?
Yes, sir.
You had last year or your career, you've got 9 sacks. What are your goals this year for yourself as a player and as a football team?
To win as many games as possible. I have the same goal as the team. Last year I lost, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. So this year my goal is to win as many games as possible.
Good. You got any individual stats? Any sacks you want to get? Number?
I got a number, but
okay, you keep it to yourself.
That's
you got
number.
it in your locker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you consider going anywhere else? I mean, you grew up close to home. I mean, is that all your life you dream about, wanting to be a Georgia Bulldog?
Out of recruitment, right?
Yeah.
I did not want to come to Georgia at first.
Okay.
Why was that?
Oh no, really. It's just. I guess because I was from here and everybody grew up liking it. I guess I just kind of grew up a little disdain. I guess, but as a recruit, when I came to my first game my freshman year, it kind of opened my eyes and I kind of fell in love with Georgia.
Yeah.
But I did not always see myself going here though. I thought I was going to Clemson or Auburn.
Yeah. Well, Clemson was hot back then, and you get to play Clemson the first game of the year this year.
Yes,
so
sir.
tell us a little bit about your suit, though. What you got going on there?
Oh yeah. My guy Brian Alexander Bespoke. He had he custom fit me, man. He got me right. I went black double breasted with gold buttons. I got a red little handkerchief. I got red guts on the inside of my suit. Black from the waist down with multicolor Christian Louboutin.
You got that's
the
a trim.
top
That's a
button
trim cut.
The top button is red.
The
top
button is red, which is really sharp. No, I cannot. No, the top, the trim fit does not work for me at all. You guys have a target on your back, obviously. I mean, you were discussing the Auburn game earlier this year. They played really good against you guys.
They did.
And Missouri played really good against you guys. So how do you prepare yourself to be ready for that every week?
Really just by what you're saying. We know we're gonna get everybody's best shot. So we go out there with that mindset and that mentality that we got to strike first, and we have to strike the hardest. So we come out there and we do exactly that.
What makes Kirby Smart such a good coach?
His mentality. He's the same guy every day. Every day he's the same person every day, and just he never. He honestly believes better never rest. He's never resting. He's always working, always looking for the next thing that can make us better.
So Oklahoma and Texas are coming to the SEC.
Yes, sir.
If you had a chance to go up in front of the team room in front of OU football team or Texas Longhorn football team, what would you tell them they need to expect is going to happen when they come to the SEC?
Tough, hard-nosed, physical games. That's all that lives in the SEC. Hard-nosed, physical, run the ball, like tough games. Like it get like the trenches are huge in the SEC. That way win and lose you games. The O line and D line.
Yeah.
So we just tell them to expect that. Be expecting that the trenches will control their game, and be expecting that it's going to be tough and hard nosed.
Michael, one more question. We'll let you go. Tell me a teammate of yours that we might not know about in the media or read about all the time. It's not here today that you think is going to make a big impression this year.
It's too many old guys to name. So we're a great team. We got a lot of great players and a lot of great targets. So it's too many old guys to name.
All right, man. We appreciate your time.
Like it. Appreciate
it. Michael Williams here from University of Georgia. The Georgia players walk around. Yeah, that's just for you. They walk around with an air of confidence. I mean, and I stood and talked to him a little bit in the breakout session in there earlier today. And they were trying to ask about Texas and different things, and he was like, I really don't care about Texas. We do what we do.
Yeah. He what he talk about? What he tell him? If I had a chance to talk to the OU or Texas, it's about the trenches, and it is. That's the difference. But it's a mentality, Mark. They've only lost 2 games in 3 years, right?
Yeah, they haven't lost in the regular season in 3.
So
I was crunching some of the defensive numbers earlier today, and if it comes down to a fight in the trenches, that's not been OU's problem, and it certainly hasn't been Texas's problem. If you look at Texas last year, like rush defense, red zone defense, Texas is as good as anybody in the country. Now, they lost some of those guys. OU's kind of building back, and OU's recruited well enough that they've got people that are coming up. But both teams have had people throw right over the top of them. So if that's the case, maybe I are underestimating OU a little bit.
Well, it's just the consistency of playing the kind of opponents that they're going to be playing every Saturday now. That can make a huge difference. So, again, I was in there listening to Kirby. I know you listened to him a little bit. And then you got Coach Saban off to the side on the SEC set. He's turned around, listening to Kirby, and this is now Kirby Smart's conference. This is now Kirby Smart's. Matter of fact, could be all of college football. I mean, it's Kirby Smart. So what they're doing and just all the things you go in there, and I was just listening to Josh Heupel. You hear so much. Everybody's talking NIL. Everybody's talking about how are these players going to practice? How are you going to practice in the preseason this year? Because why? Because you're having longer seasons. You're having the playoffs longer. Everything, all these coaches kind of refer to it as it's heading towards an NFL model. Everything we're doing is heading towards an NFL model. And, even I saw today that the iPads, SEC and another conference, and maybe ACC, are going to be able to have iPads during game days like they have in the NFL, and how are you going to use those? And like Kirby said, he goes, those are great things because we can give quicker information to our players. Most of our players are more visual than getting on a headset and somebody telling you, hey, this guy was in a 9, he was in a 6 technique. This is a 4-eye, or it was cover 3 or cover 4 or whatever. It's a lot more easier to see on film. That is a huge advantage. I texted my brother this morning and said, you need to get on the horn today and find out from the Big 12 how come you guys don't have this. Now, I'm not saying he'll listen to me, but I sent him that text message because I think that'd be very beneficial for anybody who's playing college football today.
They're going with Microsoft, I think. They're doing the same thing just with Microsoft tablets, is what I read.
Perfect.
Yeah, so they're on the technology train.
Okay.
Tim Cook, though, is an Auburn grad, and I did not know that the CEO of Apple, I guess, was an Auburn grad, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. One of the things that's strange to me is as much as I never understand the divide between the collegiate game and the professional game, and I understand that there are things that are inherently going to be different, but they've done that for years in the NFL. You see a quarterback on the sideline with an iPad, and they're diagramming plays, and they're looking at what happened. They're basically watching film in the moment. I don't really understand why that has been not done at the collegiate level until now.
It's money, and it's resistance to change. In college athletics, they're resistant to change.
Well, that's your second part of your answer is always the case.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad he took our candy because I butchered his name. So that was really weak action from my part.
We're supposed to have Malachi.
Yeah,
Malachi's supposed to be here. Malachi Starks.
But I just stood in front of him in the other room.
Did?
I mean, I was standing there listening to him talk for 5 minutes.
Well, you got a little nervous. You kind of
Rookie
fumbled
move.
a little
Well,
bit.
you know what? When I don't know
you got
someone's
candy,
name,
you got
for sure,
candy all over the place.
I
in
got
front
nervous.
Of you. You got candy here. You got candy out there. I mean, your eyes are just going everywhere.
I got nervous. Damn it.
You're not SEC ready, Mark.
Not
Hey,
as
you need to
I
get
got
there,
nervous
dude.
because we're talking about the lady that was singing last night. I mean, that made me nervous just listening to that.
That was not a good way to set the stage for that interview.
Yeah, Matt, you should have saw the look whenever we said Malachi, and he just kind of shook his head like,
no, not quite.
No.
Look, I'll stick up for Mark. That's a tough situation on the fly there. Hey, let's
95th media days. I mean, like if it had happened the third year, I'd have gone to the bathroom and cried. But I mean, okay with it.
You still have time to do that during the break.
Yeah, Keating is he is it's a socks. Sit down right there.
Yeah. Make sure and show your shoes too.
Before we go to break,
On our YouTube stream, by the way.
Yes.
WWLS Sports Animal.
Compadre from KOCO, Brian Keating.
What's going on?
What's up? You're out dressing all the players today.
You know, this is how I do it, man. You know, you got to wear the suit. You know, you just look like you're going to work.
Do you have it? Do you have names in here?
I don't have names or anything like that. I just got some plaid, you know.
Very nice.
Yeah, but you know, nice. I gotta dress up like I'm at work.
I'm going to get the name of your tailor. It's going to cost me a lot more money. There's going to have to be more material.
Do you have a particular tailor?
I do. This is a great story. He actually flies around the world, and he stays in Oklahoma City for about 2 days, and he makes me a couple of suits a year. And so over the course of time, he is from Hong Kong. It sounds way more extravagant than it really is.
No,
but
it is.
But
way
it's a
more
pretty cool thing.
extravagant.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing.
That's good. What are you guys up to today?
We're just kind of trying to get the lay of the land, man. The SEC is a little bit different than anything we've done in the Big 12, so the setup's a little bit different, trying to get the excitement about what's going on.
Yeah.
And talk. I think we want to talk to as many analysts as we can and see what everybody thinks about Oklahoma and Texas and really get ready for a college football season.
No, Cale and I are available to be a part of your preseason football special.
Okay, come on. I mean, that sounds like you have just said yes. So I like it.
He just said yes. I can tell you this: we've been here for now almost a day and a half, and I'm struggling with this. I've been struggling with this from day one. The buzz is that Texas is just going to jump in this conference, and they're going to be top 2 or 3 team in this conference, and that Oklahoma is going to be kind of in the second tier. And I've been struggling with that from day one, but you go up and down. Of course, we're surrounded by some Texas people over here, but they feel very, very confident. They feel Texas football has got a chance to be a big-time factor in the SEC for the next 2, 3, 4 years and moving forward.
I mean, doesn't know you have a chance to do that as well. I mean, my whole life, Oklahoma football has been this one thing, which has been as among the best teams in all of college football. So I don't see any reason why Oklahoma won't be one of those teams. I don't know what they're going to be like this season.
Correct.
But moving forward, I mean, there's an expectation for what OU football is. I still expect that out of Oklahoma football. There's no reason to think that they won't be that, in 5 years and 10 years and 50 years.
Do you think it's important that by year 3 that they've had some good success, that they've won a game or two against one of the big dogs just for recruiting purposes moving forward? Because it's one thing when you're going into this conference as a coach, you can go out and recruit and say, hey, we're coming to the SEC. We're going to take this over. You can convince these kids. But if you go through about 3 years and you really haven't knocked one of the big dogs off, or you're only winning 8 games or 9 games a year, do you think that could be a concern?
Yeah. I think OU ought to begin to think that they ought to be winning games starting now. I mean, I just think that's the expectation at Oklahoma. That's not going to change for me going into whatever league that they play. There's an expectation for what OU football is and how many games they win, and they play for conference championships and try to get into the national championship game. And so I don't care what league they play in.
We got to take a break. We're a little bit late, but I think he's 100% right, though. It doesn't matter what the name of the other jersey is. There's OU fans are going to look at it as like, probably should have won that one.
And it only matters if they believe inside that locker room. They don't need to worry about what the fans are believing.
Right. Fans just crank things up.
There's a guy over there.
Thanks, Brian. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Yeah.
All right, we'll see you. Ryan Keating, brother. KOCO Sports Director. Sorry to hijack the show, fellas.
No, the jet setting, Brian Keating. Let's try to stay on track here. Brad, tell us what's going on at Remington.
Thoroughbred racing is coming back. August 16th is opening day. The normal first race is going to be at 6:30, and Oklahoma Derby Day will be here on Sunday, September 29th. Now, don't worry. You still got horse racing between now and then. There's daily simulcast tracks. Saratoga is already underway. Del Mar starts this weekend, and Haskell Day is this Saturday at Monmouth Park. That simulcast Racing always or almost always starts at 11 a.m. So you could come in, hang out in the casino, maybe look for the Unimoo, I think is what Mark called it on the Planet Moolah, Journey to Planet Moolah, Unicow. You come in and play that. Bricktown Brewery, if you're looking for food, you want to come have lunch here today and see us. Bricktown Brewery open every day at 11, so they're open now. And, of course, Club Remington, new member eligible for match play. You earn 10 points, and you get $10 in free play. You can earn up to $50 in free play. So come check it out at Remington Park. You know where it is, right off of I-35 and I-44. That is where we are, just right in the casino floor. Come see us at Remington Park.
Awesome. And we got Mark and Cale down at SEC Media Days in Dallas. More from SEC Media Days when we come back on The Drive on 98.1 FM, WWLS, the Sports Animal.
WWLS, the Sports Animal, is always on. Available on the Sports Animal app.
Catch the Midsummer Classic, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, live tonight from ESPN Radio on ESPN 640. Coverage from Arlington begins tonight at 6 on ESPN 640.
The Sports Animal Studios, powered by the OKC Thunder.
Guys, here we go.
We got to get
Half and full season tickets are on sale now for the upcoming 24-25 Thunder season. Become a ticket member today for access to the playoffs at OKCThunder.com/memberships.
Welcome back to the drive on the Animal. Mark and Cale down at SEC Media Days. Brad at Remington Park. Mark, we got a guest.
Yeah, we have consensus first-team All-American Malachi Starks from the University of Georgia. We just commented, Michael, on his suit. You are looking equally as sharp today. I like that. Tell us about where you got the threads.
I got it from Men's Warehouse.
Nice.
I knew.
I like your style.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I knew that I was coming with Michael and Carson, so I had to bring a little something out.
Yes.
So, I brought my red bottoms for my shoes, and I got the little pink bow tie to throw the fit off. So
And the Ugga pin.
yeah.
It has been broadened. It has been sufficiently.
Hey, I got a real quick question for Malachi. Do you regret it?
Regret what?
Going to Men's Warehouse?
No.
No.
It looks,
Of course
it
not.
looks amazing.
That's what I'm saying.
I guarantee it.
My guy is
You won't regret it.
tip top. Hey, I do have a question for you though. Give us a couple of your NIL deals that you do stuff with,
Right.
companies or groups.
So I got a deal with Powerade.
Okay.
I got a deal with Powerade, and I just signed a deal with Roback, another clothing company. And I've done Dunkin' so far.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So I've got a few good things. I did something with Cane's a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's cool, man. I love it.
What do you use the cane sauce? Do you use ketchup? Do you use gravy? What's
No,
your favorite?
I use cane sauce, but
Okay.
I don't eat any sauce with my fries.
I'm with you. The crinkle
Yeah,
cut fries are really good.
yeah.
And when they're hot, they're salty. They're good
Yeah.
enough.
Without a doubt.
So you guys, there's a lot of players from Georgia on this team. I mean, what's it like to play for your home state? Does that give you any extra pride that you guys have been so successful and so good here lately?
Yeah, it's like another sense of pride, you know. When you got so many guys in state that go there, I mean, it's just like a badge of honor to wear on your chest when you walk out there. You know, it makes you do things a little better with a sense of urgency.
Now, Malachi, last year you were obviously an All-American. You're a freshman All-American. It's your freshman year. Watch out, there's a big guy right there snapping in
That's the
behind
man.
you.
Todd Gurley, that's the
Mr. Todd
man.
Gurley. Todd doesn't know I used to coach Adrian Peterson and DeMarco Murray and all them cats at OU back in the day. I coached at OU for 22, 23 years. So, yeah, that's what they look like, Mark, right there. Todd Gurley right there.
That's the man.
But no, you were finalist for the Nagurski Award, which is given to the best defensive player in college football, a finalist in the Jim Thorpe Award. What personal goals do you have this year for yourself heading into potentially your last year in college football?
Right. I think I want to be the best version of myself that I can be. I think it's as simple as that. And what comes with that comes with it. What doesn't. I just want to be able to go out there and be the best me I can be, teammate, person, leader I can be to the group, and just go do what I know what I can do at the highest level.
That Thorpe Award is presented in Oklahoma City. So, I
That's
mean,
right.
we could see you there a little bit later on this year. Oklahoma, where we're from, and Texas coming into the league, what will they see and what are they in store for when they get to the SEC?
The SEC it's a place, man. People love it. I think it's the hardest conference you can be in. It's the most competitive. It's intense, and I think just the atmosphere you get when you walk into an SEC stadium is just different.
Okay, so obviously you're one of the best defensive backs in all of college football. Now, I know you played in high school. You just didn't play DB, so you had to play on the good side of the ball. So,
Right.
So what other position did you play in high school?
Man, I played I played safety, corner, a little bit of linebacker, then I played wide receiver, running back, and I played quarterback. So I played a little bit of everything.
Okay, if you had a chance, if you couldn't play defense, what would be the position you would play on offense?
Wide receiver.
Play wide receiver.
I'm trying to get Bobo to throw me in the package, but
Yeah, we need to get. I'll get a hold of Mike.
Only be good for the NIL.
I'll get a hold of Mike Bobo and get him to give you a package.
We got one quick one from studio.
Yeah,
Matt.
Malachi, I got to ask you, are you excited for the new NCAA video game, and what was the process like getting in the game?
man, I can't wait to go back and get it, man. We left yesterday, so I haven't got to play it. And Kale brought his game up here, and he couldn't get connected to the Wi-Fi, so I haven't got to play it yet. So as soon as I get back to Athens, Georgia, I will be going to play. But it's crazy. It's a crazy experience because the last game that came out, I was at home playing, and I was making my character and putting him in the game, and now I'm in there. So I'm blessed, man, for sure.
Very cool.
That's fantastic. And for you guys get a gift, a little cowboy hat action there?
Yeah, I got to go make my own cowboy hat. It's the first cowboy hat I ever had. So I'm gonna wear it when I come down to Texas and stuff. So I'm excited.
No doubt. Hey, on game day when you get off that bus, when you play in Austin this
Yeah.
year, you need to roll with that right there.
I'm gonna get the boots to match it.
That's exactly right. Right.
One more question. We'll let you go. I'm sure Kirby Smart recruited you there to UGA, and he's considered right now the dean of the conference coaches. That's what we were talking about a little bit before you came up. What makes him such a good coach?
Just his passion he has for the game. He literally wants to bring the best out of you. He wants you to be the best you that you can be, and it's pure intentions too. What you get is what you see, and what you see is what you get. He is very intense, and he only wants to bring the best out of you. And he surrounds himself with greatness. So why not want to be with greatness?
Thanks for your time. We
Thanks,
appreciate
Malachi.
it.
Appreciate it. Good luck
Best
to you.
of luck this
Thank
year.
you.
I don't think we need to wish him good luck. I think he'll be just fine.
I know, but just every day. Just every
He's not
day.
going to be a part
Every
of
day.
anything here.
He'll surround
Take
himself
care.
with good people.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Does he ask about the candy?
Yeah.
He got some candy.
Yeah,
So far,
we've got some candy takers today.
So far, it is. I think we had one Skittles and one peanut M&Ms. And so far, I've had 0. But the temptation is strong today. It's only 2 days. I think I'm going to give at some point and break.
Just remember, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers, Mark. So just keep that in mind.
You recognize that.
Just keep that in mind.
Recognize that.
Hey, we had a great hamburger last night, guys. Mark took us to a great place. What's the name of it, Mark?
Maple and Motor.
Maple and Motor. You guys are in Dallas. Look it up.
I looked up that menu. It looks good when Mark told us about it earlier.
It's good.
It was dang good.
Yeah, we had some fries and tater tots. It was really good.
Now, I got to ask you guys something. We can do this on the other side, but I want to rank our SEC coaches. I thought Pat asked a great question earlier, so we can kind of figure out our rankings.
I got my rankings down, so I'm ready. I'm ready to roll. I feel
All right,
pretty confident in these rankings.
All right, very good. I can't wait to hear what you got. Brad, tell us what's going on at Remington.
Remington Park, you got horse racing, you got the casino, you got free parking and free admission anytime at Remington Park. You got summer simulcast tracks going now. Saratoga is underway. Del Mar starts this weekend. Haskell Day is Saturday at Monmouth Park. So you can come in and bet on that if you want to. Simulcast racing starts at 11 a.m. every day. And thoroughbred season, not that far away, about a month away. Normal first race is going to be at 6:30 p.m. It starts on August 16th, so it's right at a month away. And Oklahoma Derby Day is not too far away, Sunday, September 29th. So if you're looking for a place you don't have to drive halfway across the state to have a great time, Remington Park is the place for you. They got a Bricktown Brewery in here. They have Club Remington where you can win free play by joining the club. So check it out anytime, any day, 24/7 at Remington Park, I-44 and I-35.
More from SEC Media Days, including some coach rankings with Mark and Cale. We got Brad along as well, Matt from The Drive. This is the Animal, 98.1 FM, WWLS.
coverage of SEC Media Days, Oklahoma, Texas, and everybody else during the 2024 SEC Football Media Days going on through Thursday, live from the Omni in Dallas. Curtis, Mark, Cale, Carey, they're all down there. They're going to be talking to players and coaches, and you can get much more information at thesportsanimal.com and on the Sports Animal app.
Welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us on this SEC Media Day Tuesday. We've got Georgia, OU, Missouri, and Tennessee along today. Heard from a couple Georgia Bulldogs already. Mark Cale, great job there down there. Brad is at Remington Park here in Oklahoma City. All right, Mark, you sounded fired up, so let you go first here on the SEC coach rankings, the top 5.
One more thing on Malachi Starks. I mean, this is he's kind of one of the reasons why that Georgia is where they are. This guy was the number 1 athlete prospect in the country, 5-star player. Number 2 player in Georgia. I'm not sure who's number 1, but he probably plays at Georgia. So it's that, and just hit the ground running as a freshman and making plays. And so that's the type of players you need if you want to win the SEC. So I know Oklahoma's trying to get there, but that those are the kind of guys they're going to need to get, and those are the kind of guys that they were getting when they were playing for national championships. So, okay, the SEC coach ratings. This is easy. Kirby Smart is number 1, then everybody else is number 2. If I
That's
go
exactly
2, 3,
what
4,
I was
5,
going to say.
I can, but the tenure of the league shows how cutthroat it is. It's turned over to the point where there's only one coach that has a longer tenure than 5 years in the league.
That's crazy.
And that's Mark Stoops?
Yeah, he's got 12. He's had to fight it off at sometimes, I think. I mean, he's done a great job at Kentucky and stayed there and made Kentucky competitive. And it's not it's a program that was probably just barely ahead of Vandy, for a long period of time. So Mark Stoops is really good.
So Smart's first year was at 2016. Kirby Smart.
I think it's maybe a little less.
It was thereabouts. I feel.
Yeah, no, this
somewhere
is his
there
9th year. So yeah, that's right.
But he's been. Still, that's after that. Is it Lane? Is Lane? When that was in
Well, here's the thing with Lane. I was going to mention a couple of these guys. I like what Josh has done at Tennessee, but I want to see him go back and reload the chamber. 2 years ago, they were great. Last year, they weren't so good. Go get the talent and show me that you're that good of a coach. Lane Kiffin has got great talent, but until he shows me that he can lead that talent to the promised land, I have a hard time ranking any of these guys. And then you got the new coaches. I know a lot of people are saying Sarkisian is number 2 in the conference. I don't know how you can say that considering he's not played in the conference yet. So I'm totally on board with Mark. I think it's Kirby Smart and then everybody else.
I do think Brian Kelly is a solid 2. To
He's
me,
a good
he
coach,
should be the
but
second.
he underperformed last year.
Yeah, he went there to win a national championship. He's fallen short of that so far.
Well, okay. I don't know what to think about him. I know that he's got an impressive resume at different stops, but LSU wasn't very good last year. They got bailed out by an offense that was incredible. They fired their entire defensive staff, and they went and they got Missouri's defensive coordinator, but they don't have. They've got 2 really good players returning on defense. They lost 2 really good players on defense, the NFL draft, and I don't know how good LSU is going to be. I don't know how much better they're going to be this year than a year ago.
It's less an endorsement of Brian Kelly, which feels weird to talk about it this way, but more so like I can't put Kalen DeBoer number 2. Same thing with him and Sark, although DeBoer's record is incredible. He's lost 12 games his whole coaching career.
But he's played in the Pac-12, which, I mean, listen, that's a major conference. But still, I want to see him do it at the SEC level. I think Hugh Freeze is a great coach, but can he do it in the SEC? I just have a hard time ranking those guys, not knowing what they're going to look like in conference.
It may be harder to win a gazillion games like he did in a conference where everybody is kind of equal than it is at Alabama.
I think
possibly.
I hear what you're saying on that. Yeah, there's a lot of you're playing on an equal playing field with everybody else.
Yeah, how do you separate yourself and just win all the time like he has? I mean, he's high up on the list
By being a damn good coach is
he's
the
high
answer.
up in the list in a T2. I promise you that.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think, and I was telling Cale during Josh's media availability, Josh isn't even the same person as he was when he was at OU. And I know Josh fairly well. I've been around him quite a bit. And he is night and day better communicating. and I thought it might be a struggle for him as a coach at times because he just wasn't super comfortable doing that, but he is now. And I think that's only going to help him as a coach. I'm really impressed with what he's become and how good he is at that now.
I think that there might be an element of, I don't know what you would call it. I don't think imposter syndrome is the right thing, but I think that there are people that not being the guy are uncomfortable trying to present as the guy. And so being put into that role gives him the confidence of, okay, now I am the guy. I can be who I am and who I want to be. And I think I definitely think he's stepped up to that. I agree with you. I can remember when Josh was at OU as a player and then his early years as a coach at OU, and it seemed like he was very prepared with answers. And I say that to think it didn't feel like you were talking to a real guy. It felt like you were almost talking to an AI that was really good, that knew how to prepare an answer and hit all the points that it needs to hit. Now when I see Josh talk, I feel like he's talking like a coach. He's thinking things through as he's saying them and not having them prepared in advance. And I totally concur. And it's not like I've talked to Josh in the last 3 years, but from watching him in press conferences, post games, things like that, that's what I see in him.
It was not good the way that he left OU after that Russell Athletic Bowl where they got killed by Clemson. It's like 40-6 or something like that. He ended up leaving OU, and that ended up being the correct choice for the Sooners. I don't know how you could say that otherwise. I mean, it was the right choice for OU.
Too, right? He winds up in a much better situation than. I mean, I say that. Who knows? Maybe he could have become the OU head coach at some point, but I think he went out and worked his way up the mountain, and now he's where he is, and he's got the opportunity to be great. He's just got to go get good players.
Mark, do you think Josh would ever come back in OU? I don't want to say good graces because there's some history there, but has not really returned as a guest of the program. Do you think that would ever be in play at some point?
Yes, of course. He said that he hasn't been back since they won the national championship. He hadn't been back since he was let go. So I think that's. He's come a long way in how he discusses it, and I think how he talks to his friends about it. And I'm sure that he's going to want to go win in a big, big way when they play. But he has been able to me, go a long, long way as a head coach. He's a successful head coach at one of the top programs in the country, and I'm sure he feels like he was unfairly treated. But I again think that everybody kind of in this situation. I mean, Bob didn't embarrass Josh by hiring somebody that wasn't one of the more successful offensive coordinators that we've ever seen. I mean, Lincoln Riley's that good. He may be the best offensive coordinator Oklahoma's ever had.
Sure.
As far as what he's produced on offense. And so you got to just look at this and go, hey, I know that there's potential to have some hard feelings there, but everybody is kind of made their own way and has come through this.
I think that the crowd is going to be very embracing of Josh when he comes back with Tennessee. And I think that is going to give him a better feeling about it than he has right now. I think that's going to help him work through a bunch of it because we know how people are. And there were a lot of people that were upset and felt like Josh needed to go as the offensive coordinator. But I think a lot of those very people are going to be the ones that are going to be cheering for him when he's introduced with Tennessee. And so I think that's going to make him feel a little bit better about the situation too.
One more thing, Mark, before I let you go. What do you want to hear from some of the OU players, the OU representatives today whenever you get a chance to talk to them?
Oh, man, they're just going to be, inundated with question after question after question of the SEC. I'd like to hear something interesting. How about that? Let's get some hot takes and get some things going. So,
yeah, man.
Danny Stutzman fired back at
give him a chance to
everybody in
respond.
The league. Yeah.
I saw he retweeted that yesterday, the Harold Perkins thing. So I thought that was a good response.
We discussed last night at the beach house how turned up Stutzman's attire was going to be today. Is it going to be conservative? Is it going to be suit and tie? Going to be retro gear? Nope, we didn't know.
Was that the exact phrasing? Turned up?
It was mine.
Just curious who that came from.
Yeah.
Very good. We'll be listening, guys, to the Middle of the Day show. Mark, you and Cale are doing an excellent job there down from Dallas. And, of course, all this is going to be on the podcast page. So if you miss these interviews live, we will make sure that it is up. So definitely stay tuned to the Sports Animal. Great coverage here from Dallas. Brad, tell me about Remington Park.
Remington Park 24/7 casino is open in always free parking, always free admission. And you could join the Club Remington. New members eligible for match play. You earn 10 points and receive $10 in free play, and you can earn up to $50 in free play. So come in and join Club Remington if you're not already in. The casino, like I said, is always open. They got the Bricktown Brewery. If you're hungry, come have lunch with us today. It is open now. Opens daily at 11 a.m. Of course, you got the horse racing simulcasts happening now from Saratoga. Haskell Day is this Saturday at Monmouth Park in New Jersey. Del Mar starts this weekend, so you're going to have a ton of simulcast racing to wager on. That normally starts at 11 a.m. every day. And thoroughbred season starts here at Remington on August 16th. First race normally is going to be at 6:30 p.m. And mark your calendar now for Oklahoma Derby Day for Sunday, September 29th. It's all happening 24/7 at Remington Park.
Also, make sure you check out WWLS Sports Animal on YouTube because you can see some of these interviews broadcast live. They have a little chat box for you, a comment box where you can respond in real time to those guys. So WWLS Sports Animal on YouTube if you want to see some of what we're doing down from Dallas and the SEC Media Days. Big thank you to Matt Meyer, as always, doing an excellent job. Pat Jones joining us during the 10 o'clock hour, and you, the listener, making it possible to do what we do. Middle of the day show is coming up next. Mark, Brad, and Cale on 98.1 FM, WWLS Sports Animal.
The Game.
Sponsored by Travis Watkins Tax Resolution and Accounting Firm. Don't face the IRS alone. Call or text 405-451-3399.
These two guys have Oklahoma roots planted deep.
Oh, is this a new one? I thought it was a rerun. Okay, here we go.
One from the plains of Kay County, and the other is straight out of the backwoods of McCurtain County. Get ready for the latest sports takes, plus a view inside the world of music, food, and pop culture.
We'll begin at this point.
The Middle of the Day Show with Mark Rodgers and Brad Copeland, now on 98.1 FM, WWLS, the Sports Animal. Now it's time for the Big Three, sponsored by Service Master by Eagle Eye, carpet and air duct cleaning, water and fire restoration, and more. Call 405-216-8000 or visit smbye.
Welcome to the Middle of the Day Show from SEC Media Days here at the Omni. Dallas, Tennessee, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Missouri meeting with the media today. And Missouri is a little late. I think they had some weather concerns. So I haven't really seen any of the Missouri personnel. Maybe not yet. So had a couple of Georgia players on, Mikel Williams and Malachi Starks, two of the better players in the country on the defensive side of the ball. Brad is hanging out with us today. He is at Remington Park. Always fun to be at Remington Park.
Oh, yeah.
Cale is walking around. The OU delegation has just stopped by, and we will have them later this afternoon. Danny Stutzman in a very conservative suit. Personality, though, definitely elevated. So
I can't go ahead.
No.
I can't believe you didn't go to the home run derby last night. Now, are you going to try and go to the All-Star game tonight? Has there been any thought of that?
I don't think so. No.
It's interesting to me. I didn't.
Did you see how crowded it was last night? I mean, it was.
I did not see much of the crowd at the home run derby. But when I went to the All-Star game in Arlington before, it was a sellout crowd. One of the better, maybe the best experience for All-Star, All-Pro, whatever you want to call it, is what Major League Baseball does still. In the NBA are probably the gold standard, followed by the NHL. At the bottom of the list, the NFL. But I thought this was the case, and I looked it up to be sure. Paul Skeens is going to be the starter for the National League, and it was the last rookie starter in the Major League Baseball All-Star game, also in Arlington when it was there in '95, Hideo Nomo. And I can't think of – there have been a couple of guys that have come along that have made a splash. Steven Strasburg, the first year that he pitched, was a big deal. But I think that Paul Skeens has made as big a splash as a Major League Baseball pitcher in his rookie year as anybody since Nomo. Can you think of anybody that was on that level since Nomo that rises to what Skeens is doing this year?
Fernando was that way.
Yeah, but that was before.
Right, it was. It was an.
I'm talking about since '95.
No.
I can't think of anybody. Like I said, Strasburg was a big deal, but I don't think he was this big of a deal.
How about Tim Wakefield? I mean, he wasn't a typical rookie, but, man, he had an incredible start to his career with the knuckleball.
Well, and it's funny because I was reading a piece on Skeens talking about what his expectation was coming out of college. We all knew he was a big deal at LSU. He led them to the title. And he was saying, I knew I needed another pitch. I knew I wanted to just play at the professional level, but I knew that it was going to take an adjustment. And I knew it was going to take some time. And so he started working on basically a knuckleball, what they call the splinker, split finger sinker. That's one of his go-to pitches now. And he didn't even start working on that pitch until after he was through with LSU. And by the time he showed up to training camp with the Pirates, he was starting to get the hang of it, and now that's one of his go-to and nastiest pitches, and he's just become he's a phenom in Major League Baseball right now.
Let's see. Wakefield came up in the middle of the year, and he went 8-1 with a 2.15 ERA.
That's pretty good.
Rookie of the year. So he wouldn't have been close to starting the All-Star game. Now, his career was up and down at times, but when the knuckler floating in there, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So we will watch that on TV tonight. That's the All-Star game the good part of it is just the great individual matchups that you see. And I'm sure runs will be at a premium with the way that pitching is now.
Well, and I think that I think baseball lends itself to basketball does because guys lay off and don't really play a lot of defense. Baseball lends itself to an all-star setup probably more than any of the other sports. What did you think of Joe Burrow's suggestion that they add an extra bye week if they're going to extend the season in the NFL? Add an extra bye week and make one of the bye weeks a league-wide bye week and do the All-Pro game then. You think that would make any difference? I don't know that it would.
It's one of the worst ideas. It's about as bad of an idea as us unlocking our doors tonight. I mean, it's just not a good idea. No, that's terrible. But one, you don't want to take football away. I mean, I could give a rip about whatever the All-Star game is for football. Like I said, the transition to having linemen fielding multiple punts, that was more entertaining to me than the Pro Bowl. I thought that was pretty fun. I mean, have these guys do these skills competitions and they get into it and have them get some money or charity or something like that, and then that takes up a little bit of TV for that time. But there's no way you're going to simulate any kind of football game in the NFL, especially in the middle of the year. I mean, that is ridiculously stupid.
Well, based on the risk of injury, it makes no sense to do that. I appreciate the fact that he was trying to come up with an idea, and I do think we're going to wind up with 2 bye weeks at some point. I just think the season is going to get stretched, but I just can't imagine. It's risky enough to do it after the season. I've said all along, I think that the All-Pro ought to be like All-American. It is just a recognition, and don't make them bother with trying to play the game and come up with something like you're talking about, play Battle of the Network Stars kind of stuff. Do something if that's that interesting. But, you look at – there have been guys that have been hurt doing goofy stuff. That who's the running back for the Patriots? Robert Edwards? Was it Robert Edwards?
Right.
Blew out his knee playing volleyball.
Yeah,
at an All-Pro break. So, yeah, I mean, there's no way to guarantee it, and there's way too much on the line to want to put guys at that kind of risk.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
But baseball, on the other hand, is perfect because you're not necessarily – guys are expending the same amount or even less because they're not playing as many innings in the All-Star game as they do during a regular game, and so they can go out and play. It doesn't have that physical body-to-body element to it the way that football does, or even hockey does. I'm surprised that hockey has as good of an all-star game as they do because there's a risk involved in playing hockey. But football is head and shoulders the worst out of the bunch. There's no doubt about it. And baseball, for my money, baseball's the best all-star game that there is.
Got several teams going to training camp today in the NFL, and professional football is going to get a little bit more of a late start, but the preseason game's coming up real quick, like in the next 3 weeks.
Don't care. I don't give a rip about the preseason games. That's why I feel like, and I know the players' aversion to this, but that's part of the reason why I feel like if they get rid of another preseason game and add a regular season game, that would be way more interesting to me. I wanted to ask you last week, and
it's not opening day, but I might put it up there with the opening game of the NBA season, not necessarily the Thunder season. But when teams roll out onto an NFL field in NFL uniforms and there's wagering and fantasy aspect and all of that kind of stuff, that gets me excited. I'm sorry.
Even if it's a preseason game?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't need to watch every preseason game, but yeah, I mean, there's so many things going on there, watching rookies or newcomers or guys on different teams, even for a series or two. I'm interested in that.
I can't get there with you. I prefer the way college does it when you just come out and every game means something.
Well, like the first Saturday of college football is much better than the NFL exhibition season starting. But I'm just saying I can't go against my mantra of a day with football is better than a day without football. And that even
you're right about that. It's just, to me, it's a loose definition of football when it's a preseason game. I was going to ask you this last week, and the day got away from us. This they did the new Hard Knocks off season, and they focused on the Giants.
Yeah,
that clip of the Giants GM, is it showing? Is that guy's name? I'm telling Saquon Barkley that his best advice to him would be to go out and test the free agent market. That they would love to have him be a part of the team, but that he probably ought to go out and test the free agent market and see what there was out there for him. On a human level, I kind of appreciate that. But, man, if the Philadelphia Eagles go and, with Saquon Barkley in the backfield, live up to their expectation and wind up winning a Super Bowl, That clip is that showing dude is going to live to be haunted by that clip.
Probably so. He seems like he's really excited about being on Hard Knocks, and he was going to give them their money's worth.
Well, they got it because not very many guys would have done that on camera.
No, but he's explained some other things that have been weird. And so I haven't really watched the Hard Knocks and kind of wait for the real one with the training camp.
Yeah, I haven't watched the off-season one much either, but I did see that clip, and when I saw it, I was like, wow, I can't believe that you not only did you do that, but you did it on camera for all the world to see.
Yeah, he's trying to get people bought in on that. Kirby Smart is here. He's down talking to our sister station at the Ticket. I haven't seen very many head coaches. Matter of fact, I haven't seen any head coaches stop by Radio Row. And I will say this, just being this close to him for the first time, his hair looks a lot better in person than it does on television.
I was going to ask about his hair.
Yeah. It's
it is not very photogenic.
It's all kind of Southern business. You know what I'm saying? It's just, there's not much to it. He's not getting the Aquanet on the headset.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's straight and he's ready to go. I mean, I think that it was interesting talking to both those Georgia players because when you talk to different players, are going to say different things about what makes their coach so good. I wouldn't expect them all to line up.
They both said the same thing.
Well, I mean, Kel, I think he's been and walked that walk and talked that talk. And I think that a lot of times people can be skeptical of coaches' intentions, but the great ones care about the players, and the players know it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, listen, I've always
said, everybody can get mad about playing time and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
In Georgia, it's probably really difficult to get out there and get it done. You got to beat out a lot of good guys, and they have a lot of success there too. But you got to feel like, hey, coach is here. He's got my best interest involved. And I mean, like if you try to convince somebody to do something against their will, which is either get out there when they're injured or potentially come back to school when you could go play in the NFL and all those kind of things, they know.
Well, I mean, it's just like a boss. I mean, he is those guys' boss for those 4 years, hopefully 4 years that they're at the school. And if you feel like he's got your best interests at heart and he cares about you as a human being, then, yeah, obviously you're going to go out of your way to do well by him. And you're right. I mean, you can always get upset about playing time, but a good manager, a good boss is able to explain to you why things are being done the way that they are. Where you get into trouble is guys that have been around, and we've talked about this, guys that have been in those positions for extended periods of time that start feeling like they're above having to explain themselves to a 20-year-old guy. And I think that guys like Kirby Smart, who are consistent, that's what both of those guys said was what they liked about him and what he brings to the program is consistency. He's the same guy anytime you interact with him, whether it's game day or on a Tuesday. He's very confident in what he does, and I think that that's led him to be able to do the recruiting. You're talking about these players from Georgia that he's recruiting that probably don't want to go anywhere else to play, or, as Malachi said, did want to go somewhere else, did want to go out of state and not stay close to home, but he knew that the opportunity he was going to get at Georgia was so good, and Kirby Smart was able to sell him on, hey, you don't want to go there, stay here and win this for your home state. I mean, that's why, to me, we were having that ranking of SEC coaches earlier. Kirby's at the top of the heap, and everybody else is basically so new or has not proven themselves on that level to be able to rank them more than on equal footing with everybody else to be number two behind him.
Yeah.
It's Ricky Bobby. You're Kirby or you're last.
Each of those guys are going to be there for 3 years. That played a bunch of freshmen. Starks more than Williams, but he played enough. Both freshmen All-American. They're, just and there's pressure on Kirby Smart to just keep getting those guys in there. Got to keep recruiting them. But man, Georgia, high school football in Georgia, I think is much, much better today than it was 20, 25 years ago.
Well, and when you back up a couple of national titles with each other, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to do that than it does if you win and then you're down for a couple more years. When you're dominant like that, winning breeds winning. And you're able to go out and get those guys because they want to go to the place they're going to have a good chance to win a title and showcase their skills to the NFL.
All right, based on today's schedule, I'm not sure if we will have live interviews during this segment of the show with the OU players, but we will have them at some point during the day. Dari Nowkhah, University of Oklahoma grad, former reporter for KOTV in Tulsa, now is the lead anchor of the SEC Network. He's going to stop by and talk to us today at 1:30 this afternoon. So it's going to be good to catch up with Dari. And we have much more coming up. Brad, tell us what's going on back in OKC at Remington Park.
We are at Remington Park, I-44 and I-35. I love thoroughbred season. I have friends that say, "Oh, the thoroughbreds are harder to pick than the quarter horses." They don't like. They say quarter horses are hard to pick. Everybody loves picking the thoroughbreds, and thoroughbred season is just around the corner. August 16th, we're a month away from thoroughbred racing. Normal first races are going to be at 6:30 p.m. every day, and the Oklahoma Derby Day is set. Sunday, September 29th, make a plan to be here. It's always a great time. They got a lot of different ways that you can come out and celebrate Oklahoma Derby Day and be here to bet on and enjoy that day. Also, simulcasts are underway. Saratoga is underway. They have bets every day, races every day, typically start at 11 a.m. Del Mar starts this weekend, and Haskell Day is Saturday at Monmouth Park in New Jersey. You can bet on that. The casino's always here. Free entry, free parking. Join Club Remington. New members eligible for match play earn 10 points, and you receive $10 in free play, and you can earn up to $50 in free play. And, of course, Bricktown Brewery opens at 11 a.m. daily if you want a meal. So check it out. It's always something going on at Remington Park in the Adventure District, I-35 and I-44.
The Del Mar meet, where the surf meets the turf. That is a fancy place, just a little north of San Diego. We got some texts coming in today on the Johnny's text line from the 405 area code and the 831 prefix. It goes in cycles. George's cycle is almost done. Mark it down. We'll tell you who this texter said it's their turn next. You can also text us at 405-900-9957. You can also give us a call, and we'd love to talk to you if you have something you would like to discuss on the show. On the air, 405-900-9957, Lucky Star Studio lines. More from SEC Media Days in Dallas coming up next. field this season. I don't even know that that's a good bet to take the field. Georgia hasn't lost a regular season game in a long, long, long time. And they kind of got unfairly left out of the playoffs. And I'm not talking about – I kind of agreed with what the committee had to do last season because it was such a unique year. But any other year, you lose one game and it's in the SEC championship game, and then you should get into the playoff.
Right.
And they didn't. Here's another text.
So I thought you said that this guy said that he had a team that was on the ascend.
In a perfect world, he would have, but he didn't. So
okay.
I
thought he was going to say Texas.
About, so if he
I
wants
thought he was going to
back.
say Texas, and I was going to say I'm not buying into that yet. I'm not necessarily as hardcore on it as Cale is, but I'm not buying yet until they show me that Texas is on the rise in the SEC.
So Cale and I just had a chance to see Josh for a minute and say hi. It's been a while since I've talked to him. And here's a text from the 405-659 prefix. It says, if OU doesn't beat Tennessee, they'll be lucky to make a bowl game. I mean, I don't get this opinion. Tennessee doesn't seem to be as highly ranked as some of the other difficult opponents that OU have later on in the year. But why couldn't OU lose that game and still have a successful season? Man, Tennessee is a good team with a really good quarterback. So
I think Oklahoma can lose that game, and that's not going to be indicative. I don't think that's the barometer of their season that this person seems to think that it is.
No, I don't think so either.
And frankly, I think now losing to Tennessee at home would be a tough pill to swallow, but I think losing to Tennessee in general would be more explainable than a couple other teams that they're going to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of many games this season that they could lose, and it's not some of the best teams in OU history have lost to teams on their schedule that weren't the best team.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
1975, Oklahoma lost to Kansas, 23-3. They beat many better teams in that run under Coach Switzer. So that is not a deal for me. They could lose games here. So Mark UT's quarterback only threw for 120 yards in a bowl game, and it's his first road game as an SEC quarterback. Okay. I mean, it's going to be Jackson Arnold's first SEC game, period. I would put it this way. Of those two quarterbacks, I would give the slight edge to the Tennessee quarterback. Now, will it be tough for him on the road? Maybe. But he had a great bowl game, ran all over the place. When Josh was discussing him today in the media, it wasn't the fact that he is a great passing quarterback. He said he's a great athlete that is learning how to throw the ball well. So,
if you were handicapping that game today, if you were going to say, I'll set you a line right now on that game, OU is going to be favored slightly because they're playing it at home, right? Aren't those two teams going to be pretty evenly matched if we were setting a line right now on it?
OU will be probably a 3-4 point favorite. Yeah.
And that's because of the home field.
Yeah, that's right. I'm telling you, Tennessee people are walking around here acting like and thinking they're going to be really good. And they may be.
I was going to say, if you're going to get off the bowl game, with the Tennessee quarterback, then, you could easily throw back Jackson Arnold through, 3 interceptions?
Well, that's my
the bowl
first
game,
thought when they said he only threw for 120 yards.
Freshman quarterbacks are freshman quarterbacks. I trust a 5-star. For Arnold and the Tennessee guy are both probably going to be pretty good quarterbacks.
I think so. I think that they're right there in a tier of guys in this league that aren't the 5 that are proven commodities. That's Cook, Dart, Beck, Ewers, and Milroe. Those are the 5. After that, you've got inexperienced players that have potential. Nussmeier, Wegman, Arnold, and Iamaleava. It's close to that. Something like that. All right, so, again, still haven't seen Missouri this afternoon, but the OU people are here. Look at Brent's schedule.
Did Josh say he would come back and talk to you?
We're working on it. We had not had much success coordinating with the Tennessee Communications Department. We've had success with really about everybody else, and we expected to have some guests from Missouri. So Brent will be on the podium coming up here in about 20 minutes. And so we might try to hear from him. The gauntlet was laid down yesterday by former University of Oklahoma assistant Shane Beamer, who spoke for 17 minutes in the opening statement. 17 minutes. There's enough media here that I feel like we haven't had a chance to talk to the football coaches in a while, that there's going to be some good Q&A going on, and there'll be some intelligent questions. So less of the opening statement, more of the questions, at least this time of the year, I think is a good thing.
Well, here's what I think was going on with that. Shane Beamer is clearly one of the guys on the hot seat this year. And I think he's trying to get – you don't think so?
No. Oh, no. This is just his third year. He beat Clemson a couple years ago. No, I don't. I think they love him. I mean, I think last year was tough. But South Carolina, they never won a conference championship. I mean, their expectations are a little bit different than I think what it is for these other teams in the SEC.
If you read the experts,
guys are Arkansas and Florida. Those are the two.
If you read the experts have Shane Beamer on that list too. Now, he may be below both of those two.
Yeah.
But a lot of the SEC people that I'm reading are saying that Shane Beamer is there in that club. And I think that Shane wanted to get out what he wanted to get out and not have to wait for someone to ask him or hope that someone would ask him the question that would let him get out what he wanted to get out. So I think that's why he went a little long-winded in the opening statement.
If he's facing some pressure there, it's kind of unfortunate. I think he's done a nice job so far, and you can't.
I agree.
You should give a coach at South Carolina, if you think, I mean, you just hired him 2 years ago. You should give him 5 years to at least have a chance to build some recruiting classes. You're just going to blow guys out after one disappointing year. I mean, they played Notre Dame in a bowl game a couple years ago. I mean,
I wouldn't think that. Oklahoma, we've seen how quickly the Oklahoma fans start wanting to get restless with a coach under Brent Venables. That first year, there were people like, well, I don't know, having some buyer's remorse. I would think that South Carolina would be a place that you get plenty more legroom than that. I'm just going off of the experts that I'm reading that are saying he's one of the guys that are up there. And I agree with you. Everybody knows that Billy Napier he better do something or he's going to be out of a job. And who was the other one that you mentioned? What's the other job? Arkansas.
Yeah.
If Arkansas needs to do something to prove that they're on the right path, I would think Beamer would be well below those two, but I'm going off of these guys saying that he's on the list as well.
Yes. Here's another text. Can we get Cale's full unfiltered take on Steve Sarkisian?
I'd like to hear that too.
Every time he talks about Texas. What do you? Why would you think he's not? I mean, I don't think that he's filtering a whole lot of stuff when he's on the air anyway. So, no, you get unfiltered. And the same Sark question here from another texter. Is there a world where Sark's seat is hot if they run off a 7-5? No, I don't think so. Not the way that everyone talks about him. I understand the narrative changes if there isn't success, but still, they went to the college football playoff last year. That's pretty good.
That's a good question, though. That the lowered does the expectation get lowered? Do they stick with Sarkisian? Have Texas fans learned something? If he has, and I'm not even going to say 7-5. I'm just going to say, in their eyes, a disappointing season with all the hype that's been on him coming into the season. A lot of people are saying, and I refuse to get with this. This is what I was saying when we were talking about ranking the coaches earlier, that I refuse to get with him and say that Sark is the best coach. It's second best coach in the SEC because I don't think he's proven it yet. But can Texas fans lower their expectations if they run off an 8-4 or a 9-3? 7-5 is pretty extreme, but if they go 9-3, how upset are Texas fans going to be because they've been built up in this preseason?
They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be upset. 9-3 is a good year in the SEC. Not a great year. It's a good year. It's a really good year. I had a question that I was going to ask. And it's completely slipped my mind in that moment. Completely.
Well, let me run one by you.
The over-under on Venables for the opening statement, I'm going to put it at 11.5 minutes. And he's been talking more in sound bites lately and done a whole lot better job with that. But I'll be proud of him today if he gets up there and knocks that thing out in an expeditious manner.
I think the question for me on his timing with that would be how much interaction he's had on the floor before. I think you're always going to be more long-winded if you're the first guy. But if he's talked a lot out on the floor and gotten some of it out of himself, he's likely to get up there and give a 10-minute speech.
Yeah.
I think it'd be smart if he did that. If I were an athletic director, I would be encouraging the coach, keep it to 10 minutes, keep their attention the whole time, and then answer questions because they're going to stay engaged as long as it's the Q&A portion.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's good advice. Good advice. Tell me what's going on at Remington.
Remington Park has racing. They've got simulcasts going now. Saratoga is underway. Del Mar starts this weekend. Haskell Day is this Saturday at Monmouth Park. What'd you say, where the surf meets the turf?
Where the surf
up
meets
in Northeast Jersey?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Simulcast starts.
Surf meets the turf is Del Mar.
Oh, that's Del Mar.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, San Diego.
Well, Monmouth is where the surf meets the turf, too, because it's right off of the beach.
That's where the surf meets the landmass. It's not quite the turf of California in that part of the country, right? I mean,
that's true.
Maybe I'm a West
fair enough.
Coaster.
But I'm at the turf of the track, so that's what I
Gotcha.
was going off
Okay.
of. But anyway, Haskell Day is Saturday at Monmouth in New Jersey. Simulcasting starts at 11 a.m. most days. Thoroughbred season starts in person here at Remington on August 16th. First races are going to start at 6:30 p.m., so they'll be racing probably up until dark and under the lights as the year goes by. Oklahoma Derby Day is Sunday, September 29th. No parking, no entry fee to come to the casino at Remington. It's always open 24/7. They got great food at Bricktown Brewery that opens daily at 11. And then, of course, you get all the benefits and perks if you join Club Remington. New members eligible to win match play. If you earn 10 points, you get $10 in free play, and you can earn up to $50 in free play. So just a few of the things that are going on. Always a great place, and it's just a stone's throw away. You don't have to drive a couple of hours to get to a great place to play here at Remington Park, I-35 and I-44.
All right, we'll return with more here from SEC Media Days at the Omni in Dallas. Stay tuned.
It's time for a refreshing
The Summer of Stars concert series celebrating 30 years of Lucky Star Casino continues with Cat Fest featuring Shinedown Tuesday, July 30th. Keep listening for your chance to win tickets or just go to luckystarcasino.org/concerts for tickets.
First time that I will have been back. It will be unique for myself to be on the other sideline. Obviously, there's been a lot of Saturdays where I was on the home sideline, but there's so many great teammates, friends that will be there. Got great respect for the university, the program. A lot of friends that are coaching on the opposing sideline that day. Former teammates that will be coaching on that opposing sideline too. So it'll be unique to be back there, but excited to be there.
It's Josh Heupel, Barry Trammell. Talking with him earlier today in our press conference media breakout session. We're 10 minutes away from Brent Venables, or maybe even a little sooner than that. And when he goes to the podium, we will take that audio for you. So that's, man, definitely a game that I think the fans are going to be really interested in seeing. Josh,
I think that I don't know what Josh expects, but I think he's going to be pleasantly surprised at how warmly he is welcomed. Not during the game, but when he's introduced before the game. I think that, listen, the guy won a national championship for OU, so there might have been some bad blood in the moment, and there were definitely people that were saying he needed to go as offensive coordinator. But I think that there's enough water under the bridge now that fans are going to welcome him warmly, and I hope that's going to make him feel differently about being in Norman.
All right, so this blows my mind here. So if you have not been listening today, we've probably played it 500 times. The audio last night from Ingrid Andress, the singer at the All-Star Home Run Derby. Apparently, just a few minutes ago, Matt Meyer sent this to us. She had sent out a tweet. I was expecting her to say something about the auto-tune, which sounded like a really smart explanation of what happened, and there was something going on. But no, that is not what happened.
This is raw, man.
I ain't going to BS y'all. I was drunk last night, and I'm checking myself into a facility today to get the help I need. That was not me last night. I apologize to MLB, all the fans in this country I love so much for that rendition. I'll let y'all know how rehab is. I hear it's super fun. XO Ingrid.
I told you. She was on that. She had that juice.
Well, listen, man, I give her props for being that open about
100%.
it. There is any number of ways that you could go trying to spin that thing and make it better, and she didn't do any of those. She came and said, "Hey, this is what was going on, and I'm going to own it." And she's earned some respect from me, even though I don't know who she is and have never heard her music and wouldn't want to hear her music after that. I respect the fact that she was straightforward about it.
I'm all for it. I totally agree 100%, Brad. Why not do that? Why not be a person and when you do something or wrong, why not come out and just say, hey, I made a mistake?
Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't I hear it's super fun. Is that the way you want to end it? I mean, okay. Well, good. I think that over explaining things, sometimes the simplest explanation is the right explanation. That could have been the simplest of the whole thing. Bag, we are not at a vantage point to see Brent Venables go to the podium. Will you let us know? And then once he does, can we take that?
Yes, I got it pulled up. It says your event is about to begin. Please stand by. So I'll let y'all know.
I think they described her based on what her Twitter bio was. It says 4-time Grammy losing singer-songwriter, recovering homeschooler. He's got an interesting personality.
That sounds like she's got more of a sense of humility than a lot of people would. Mm-hmm. The fact that she's kind of poking fun at herself with those things. So that this tracks this tweet that she just sent out saying she's going to go get some help because she was hammered last night, tracks along with somebody that would say that about themselves.
But she had a little crackling in her voice.
one of our hit songs is Wishful Drinking. Can you write those songs anymore after you've gone to rehab?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Oh,
I mean, Hank Williams, if he went to rehab, it was going to affect his songwriting, right?
Well, I mean, unless you go the George Jones route and you go to rehab and then you just keep pushing forward. I don't know how many times he went, and I don't know if it ever took. Maybe at the end.
Rehab is just a suggestion. It's just
right.
Kind of a thought process of what the good habits could be if you decided to develop them. So I wouldn't think, listen, the female country genre is not high on my radar at all. I mean, I don't really know very many
introducing
of them. So Brent's ready?
Sankey's talking right now, so I think we're just moments away. Unless we want to hear what Greg Sankey has to say.
But anyway, I was very unfamiliar with this woman last night before she hacked up the national anthem in a spectacular way. So hopefully we'll wish her some good luck, and I would suggest Rob's Ranch. Let's go to the podium with Greg Sankey here.
Simpson during a 10-year stint as defensive coordinator, noting those who were both in
y'all are potted down. Let me know whenever y'all want back up.
Okay. Games when he was at Clemson. Last year, the Sooners went 10-3 overall, 7-2 in the Big 12. They ranked third nationally in total offense, fourth in scoring offense, and led the country in defensive interceptions per game. It was great for me to be in Norman just over 2 weeks ago for the celebration event, including a chance to visit with Brent and other members of the Oklahoma staff. And so we're really pleased to welcome to the stage the University of Oklahoma head football coach for the first time at SEC Football Media Days, Brent Venables.
All right, good afternoon. Appreciate everybody being here today. Great to be back in the great city of Dallas, where our roster is represented with close to 20 players. I'd like to thank Commissioner Sankey, his staff, for putting on as always, a first-class event. I'd also like to thank Commissioner Sankey for being in Norman July 1st and helping us as a university, helping us transitioning to the SEC. What a great day it was. I know you got your steps in that day, but just really appreciate your leadership through all of that. I'd also like to thank our president, Joe Harris, and our athletic director, Joe Castiglione, for not only their leadership, but their alignment, their strength, their vision, and one of the most tumultuous times in college football history, transitioning to the SEC for, again, their leadership, over the last 3 years, their vision for where this program is going, and most importantly, positioning Oklahoma in a great way as a newest member of the strongest conference in all of collegiate athletics, the SEC. I've brought 3 players with me today, and I would be remiss if I just didn't thank them for standing alongside with me here today, representing what I believe is the strongest group of leadership and accountability that I've been a part of while I've been at the University of Oklahoma. And the things that they stand for are all the right things when it comes to being a college football player. That's off the field, that's on the field, that's making everyone around them better. These are young men that have achieved at the very highest levels, both in high school and in college. You're looking at Jackson Arnold as a former national Gatorade Player of the Year, or you're looking at Billy Bowman, an All-American safety, Danny Stutzman, an All-American linebacker, and the humility, the leadership, the work ethic, the toughness, their love for their teammates, and most importantly, their love for their university and their opportunity. I just really humbled that those guys are leaders in our locker room. Very, very thankful for them, and y'all are going to have a great time getting a chance to visit with them here today as well. Really looking forward to getting things started here at the end of July. Really excited about our football team. We've got a great blend of both experience. I believe we have, give or take, around 24 players that are going on their third or more year as a starter in college football. And we also have this amazing foundation of youth. We have 52 scholarship players that are either a freshman or sophomore going into this year. We're going to welcome 53 players this season that have never been at Oklahoma in the fall to run out on the field. And that's 38 scholarship players and 15 walk-ons. We do have, again, a lot to look forward to. We have, I love the direction of this football team and the development since January that's taken place, but we still have a lot of work to do. A lot of excitement, but we got a lot of work to do. We still have an opportunity over the next several weeks and a couple of months to continue to develop, which I think is going to be critical as we chase an opportunity to compete for an SEC championship. It goes without saying, the SEC is a deep, incredibly competitive league, unlike any other in college football, and everything, again, about this league is about parity. It's about competitive depth, and it's a one-possession league. As we've looked at it, outside in, you've got incredibly challenging venues. Every member of this conference, top to bottom, is committed to the excellence that this conference represents. And so, as a football program, being in our first year, we are really looking forward to the challenge.
Right, Coach, thank you for your comments. We'll take questions now. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Please give your name and affiliation. Seth, Diego, and Nolan.
We call you guys up because we got to hit a break.
Microphone to you. So we'll go ahead and start up here in the front. Bob.
Hey, Brent, Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat. I had a two-parter if that's okay. Kevin, he knows me, so he can help you if you forget the other part. I was wondering if you could talk about Jackson Arnold as your quarterback. I know he played in the bowl game. How big was that? What are you expecting? And then I know OU's won a lot of titles and Heisman's and all that, but how ready do you feel like OU is for the SEC transition?
Well, Jackson understands, better than anybody what goes into being a quarterback of a football team, of a locker room, the leader, the face, the responsibilities, the challenges. What I feel best about and have the most peace about is his ability to be able to handle the highs and the lows, the challenges, the success, the failure that a season will bring you. Nobody is more competent or more ready. Now, even though he's a young player, and we've got to, in some ways, be the headlights for him. That's why they call us coach. But his skill, his arm talent, his toughness, his instincts, his ability to lead people, bring out the best in people, no question about it. He's ready for his opportunity and his moment.
And the success of OU combining with the success of the SEC. Is that the
I'm sorry?
Your question, Bob?
With all your past history, how ready is OU for the SEC to take on this challenge?
I really don't know how to answer that other than we're excited for the challenge. As competitors, as a football program, Oklahoma, isn't intimidated as a football program. We're running towards the SEC. I think that goes without saying. We've looked forward for the last several years for this partnership to be a part of an amazing conference, the best conference in college football. How ready we are, we're excited for the challenge. I think you have to go through it. I think it's probably, as a coach, I think going through it gives you the best litmus test. There's nothing that you can read about or even watch on tape, to be honest with you. We know the challenges from a roster standpoint. The trenches is where this conference is decided, usually year in and year out. Incredibly challenging from that standpoint. The length, the speed, the play at quarterback, the coaching acumen from top to bottom. Again, you're not going to sneak up anywhere, any week in any venue and show up and luck up and win. And it's a conference it's about earning what you get. And I think going through it, a season, you'll figure that out. You'll figure out what was good, what wasn't good, what the areas of your program, your roster that need improvement so that you can match up and have an opportunity to compete for championships.
All right, that's Brent Venables' first question. That entire session with the media will be posted at sportsanimal.com a little bit later on this afternoon. So we'll have a chance to hear all of Coach Venables' comments at the first first SEC Media Days. That's gaff number 1 today.
You'd got crushed on that line, man. That was 5 minutes.
Cisco's not doing his job because he was showing me eating the soup on the stream today. So the person that did text in and said, "How was the soup?" It was delicious. And there was a young lady in there that also looked at the soup and said, "What is Shiner Bock?" And I said, "What? Where are you from?
What planet are you on?"
I said, "That is beer, and it is beer from Austin, Texas, and that is beer cheese soup, and it is delicious." I said, "I think I'll have some myself." And so she said, "Well, we'll compare notes later." So I have to go do that. But it was fantastic. And this cake is even better. So we'll take a break. We'll come back. We got more from SEC Media Days at the Omni in Dallas, where they serve some pretty fine lunch. Stay tuned.
Broadcasting sponsored by Parrish Devon Injury Law. Visit pepperwinds.com. That's pepperwinds.com. WWLS-FM, The Village, Oklahoma City. The Sports Animal, home of the OKC Thunder, a Cumulus station. This hour is brought to you by Advanced Laser and Cataract Center. If you want to see far and you want to see near, you need to come here.
Let me tell you who's on the program tonight, and then you folks can decide whether you want to stay.
And now, another hour of the Middle of the Day Show with Mark Rodgers and Brad Copeland. Now on 98.1 FM, WWLS, The Sport.
Yep. It is the Middle of the Day Show on a Tuesday on 98.1, The Sports Animal. We are live on YouTube as well for all the stuff going on at SEC Media Days in Dallas at the Omni. Mark and Cale are there, and we'd love to hear from you throughout the hour. The Oklahoma contingent is on the board. Mark would have gotten crushed on his line set for Brent Venables' opening statement. He was only at the microphone for 5 minutes before taking his first question.
Even under 5. I think that's, to me, it's a positive step in the development of Brent as a head coach. I mean, because it just proves that I think that he's learning a little bit about what to do in a small way.
Now, if we could just get him to not sound like he's run a quarter of a mile every time he's at the mic.
Well, he's intense. He's intense.
As a guy that cuts up a lot of Brent Venables audio throughout the football season, I would like some short answers this season. I'd appreciate that.
Well, that's a way shorter answer than, again, some of the peers. I think that's a good thing. And I think it was a good thing that they hired a defensive coordinator in the offseason. So
no doubt.
I'm sure he still wants to see and coordinate the defense, and you can do a lot of that during the week, but in the game day, you make more important decisions in that 60 minutes than you really do most other times of the week. And so you put the hay in the barn, and then at that point in time, you have to manage the things that the head coach does. So I think that's a good sign for OU. Good sign for OU. I was telling Cale, I mean, when you look at Carson Beck for Georgia, he's a big guy. He's a big guy. When you look at Jackson Arnold for OU, not a big guy. He was quick to point out, though, that Baker Mayfield was also not a big guy, and that Kyler Murray was not a big guy. I think that we'll see if Jackson Arnold, who clearly is closer physically to Baker than he is Kyler Murray, who could run like a jet, that OU fans would have to be incredibly happy with what they get out of that position. But
well, that's what I was going to say. The question is not the size as much as it is what you do with that size. Jalen Milroe, not the most intimidating figure in terms of size, but the dude can beat you in multiple ways.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Jackson Arnold, I mean, if they're able to do that with his feet and with his arm, Oklahoma fans are going to be fine with that. But there is something to be said for a big bruising quarterback, too.
6'1", 220. So that's what Jackson Arnold's listed at. Carson Beck's 6'4", 220. So but still no Missouri. I have to move Missouri till
odd.
Tomorrow. Well, the weather.
Have they not made an announcement about it? Is it the weather in Dallas or the weather in Missouri?
Weather in Missouri. They have a bunch of storms roll through there yesterday.
Is that normal that they would wait until the morning of to fly down?
It is not, especially since they're in the afternoon. That's not right. They may stay tonight and go eat something or something like that. But when you're flying on a private jet like a lot of these schools are, you can come in and go back on the same day and still have plenty of time to do whatever it is that you need to do in Dallas. I know OU has a function coming up a little bit later on tonight that they have to attend. So, now here's some of the Missouri people walking in now. So there we go. We're in good shape.
And they're up after OU, is that right?
Yeah, they appear in different areas at different times. So it's the two teams work in tandem, going back and forth between different places. But Eli Drinkwitz is last at the podium today.
Gotcha.
So he's scheduled there. And then again, tomorrow, we'll give you a little preview of what we've got coming up then. Tomorrow, Kalen DeBoer is first out of the gate for Alabama in the big media room. Jeff Lebby, Mississippi State, is next. Billy Napier for Florida, and then Sark ends the day for University of Texas. And we will have been through 12 of the 16 teams here in the SEC. All right.
How long
we're getting ready to talk to we've got Jackson Arnold stopping by and Billy Bowman. Either of you guys, anything that you're interested in learning from them?
I mean, most of what I want to know about Jackson, I think you guys are going to cover. So I don't have Danny Stutzman is the guy that I'm more interested to hear from. Are we going to talk to him?
I hope so, although he's not listed on the sheet that they told us they were bringing by. We'll see.
I would like to hear some more from him about his decision to come back to Oklahoma when it had come out that he was not going to come back to Oklahoma. Did somebody come up with some NIL offers that made him want to come back? Did Brent talk him into wanting to come back and finish what he started because they need that leadership? What was it that changed his mind? Was it an NFL thing? Was it, I'm just curious about how that got out. And then almost immediately it turned around and said, no, I'm not leaving. I'm going to come back and play another year at OU. So that's what I want to know from him. I think the other guys, especially Jackson Arnold, I think you guys are going to cover the questions that I would have for him.
I would say if that question we will ask, I'll ask it in the breakout if it's not, if we don't see him stop by with us today.
Gotcha.
That's a great question. It's a really good one. Billy Bowman, for me, size-wise, I mean, what's he expecting to go up against some of these top receivers in the SEC and some of the elite passing attacks? And then what's going to make the OU defense better, especially against the pass? Because the OU defense was really good against the run, and it skews towards stopping the run. I mean, that's what OU is going to do first.
Well, I think that's something you could ask both Jackson and Billy is the transition from the Big 12 into the SEC, where we know that teams are bigger and stronger and more aggressive. What do you have to do differently than you did last year to make that transition to compete against these? And I'm not talking about the conference as a rule. Vanderbilt's not going to be any different than playing some of the teams in the Big 12, but I'm talking about the upper core of the SEC when they play in Alabama or Georgia. What are they going to have to do differently on their side of the ball to make them be competitive against those teams?
Yeah, that's a great question also. So.
And I think on defense, they're going to have to be more physical. I think that's what it comes down to. But I will tell you that what I know about teams coming into the season has to do with what I've read about teams. And I know that a lot of the prognosticators are projecting Oklahoma to be way better on defense this year than they were even last year.
Well, the SEC is more physical as a league than the Big 12, but that wasn't where OU was deficient last year. They were very good against the run. So the pass is actually the area in which I think that they need to do better. Like third down defense, OU was 14th in the country last year. They only allowed 31% third down conversions. Total defense, OU was 77. Goal line defense, OU was 43. They were better against the run than they were against the pass. So I think that the SEC, is a little more physical, but they also have a bunch of quarterbacks that are all on OU's schedule that can throw the football really, really well.
So,
well, I think even I'm sorry, Cale, but I think even what you're talking about being good against the run, you talk about the difference in size between Beck and Jackson Arnold. Look at the difference in size between the offensive lines that they were playing against and defensive lines that they were playing against last year in the Big 12 and what Georgia's throwing out there. That's going to be a step up too.
Brad, I just jumped on. I was just listening to this. Brent Venables' defense is geared to stop the run. That's what it's been, and that's what it's always been. Even when he was an assistant there, even when Mike was there. I mean, they've got guys down there. They got linebackers tight. They got safeties. I mean, they're there with pitchforks, just waiting for you to come across the line of scrimmage. And that's what that defense is all about. And then they want to pressure you. They want to come up with the exotic blitz packages, and they want to pressure you and try to get to the quarterback. If you can find ways offensively to scheme them somehow to outflank them or to find some creases in the run game, that's why you see a lot of big runs against them, because there's 8 of them in the line of scrimmage within 2 or 3 yards. And then that's why if you can protect and pick that stuff up, you leave guys on islands, which is 1-on-1, and that's why you have some of those big pass plays. And then you're blitzing and then safeties, and you're asking linebackers to drop back in coverage and stuff, and it can be challenging at times. There's a lot of good to it, but it could be challenging at time. But that defense wants to shut everybody down in the run game.
Is complexity sometimes a problem? I mean, they've got experience back there. There's guys a lot of playing time.
They are, it always was. They like to do a bunch, but they do. They were always good at it, and we always had better players than most people. So you didn't really notice much if people were screwing up. Now, we used to listen to it on the offensive side and say, God, that's way too much stuff they're putting in over there. But they always had success, it seemed like.
Cale, what do you know about the recruitment and the guys that are going to be available to play in the secondary this year? Is the secondary going to be noticeably better based on just personnel?
I mean, that's the most experienced. I think one of the most experienced positions on the team is the back end. They feel that's going to be they're going to have the most depth there. I don't know if there's not any freshman players that's going to come in and add any help immediately. There may be some talk, but just for a freshman to come in and play the first year, it's a small percentage if that does happen. So. I expect them to be better. Brent knows how to play in the SEC. He knows, what kind of offenses he's going against. And it's evolved over the last several years because you're finding more teams that's got better quarterbacks. Mark and I have been looking at it for the last few weeks. It seems like everybody's got a good quarterback, and if those quarterbacks know how to run their offenses and take care of the football and not make any mistakes, let the defense help out.
Dari is running over here. He's going to join us real quick. He's probably one of the busier men in all of the SEC media days. And so, of course, everybody knows Dari, host of the SEC Network and University of Oklahoma grad, worked at KOTV in Tulsa. And Dari, this is pretty cool, huh? For Oklahoma to be here. How about that?
Oh, this is awesome. I was actually just in the room listening to Coach Venables finish up, and it's pretty surreal to see the big OU helmets swirling around on the big screen over there and see all the crimson and cream. This is really cool. It feels like it's been like 10 years that we've been waiting. Could you imagine if we had to wait another year? Like was originally the thought?
Yeah, no, that would have been a bad idea. All right, what are we going to get, Dari? What do we get with all this? What kind of passion do we get? What kind of excitement? What can Sooner fans expect when they go on the road?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be similar to what I think Sooner fans are used to when people come to Norman. I mean, it is. But it's every venue. It's virtually every venue, anyways. It's fan bases that are just like theirs. Some of the stadiums might be a little bit bigger. A couple of them might be a little bit smaller, but they're just as loud. They're just as rowdy. The whole "it just means more" thing, I realize it kind of gets poked sometimes, made fun of a little bit, but it works because to every household, to every fan, every touchdown means a little more. It dictates moods a little bit more. It dictates your relationship with your spouse a little bit more. It dictates the way you go about your work a little bit more. Everything matters just a little bit more, and the OU fan base fits beautifully in with the other 14 here.
I tell people all the time, Dari, so I coached with Watson Brown at UAB from 95 to 98 and lived in Hoover and Pelham for 4 years. And, I mean, between either NASCAR or SEC football, it's big. It's huge. The passion. I mean, we would play at Legion Field on a Saturday, and Alabama would be playing the next Saturday, and there would already be 2,000 RVs already parked in Legion Field.
Not to watch your game, though?
Not to watch the Blazers. Not to watch the Blazers. So,
it's wild.
Let me ask you this. I've been having a hard time dealing with this. It seems like everybody's kind of giving Texas almost a pass that they're going to get into the SEC and be a top 2 or 3 team. And everybody's got OU knocked down around 5 or 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. I'm struggling with that. Is that just me? Is it because I've got too much Sooner blood in me or what?
Maybe for one, but my bigger thing is not where they have OU. I actually agree with that estimate of OU personally. But I wasn't a 4-year starter at quarterback either. I grew up watching you play quarterback at Owen Field.
You were about 5.
So I was, let's see, in 90? What was your last year then?
93.
90 to 93, right? Yeah. So no, I was 14 to 17.
Yeah.
So I remember you well. I remember your brother too, but I remember you well.
Okay.
You wore the right color, so that was good. No, I think the issue with Texas is I don't know how you can anoint them 2 or 3 in the league until they have successfully completed this grind. And because that's the thing, I don't think they're not talented enough. I think they are talented enough. I don't think they're not well coached. I think they are well coached. I think everything about Texas screams top of the SEC or near it. But they've never experienced the grind. OU's never experienced the grind. This is a different behemoth monster that both of these programs are going to face for the very first time. So I'm not scripting Texas into Atlanta in the first Saturday of December. And I know some are, but I want to see them survive the week-to-week demands that this league creates.
All right, if Georgia's number one, which I think we all would agree they are.
I think so.
Who's number two? Because there's a lot of candidates for number two.
I like Ole Miss. I've got Ole Miss. I've got Ole Miss, Georgia. No, it'd be a great story for Ole Miss. They've never played in that championship game, but I love what they've got offensively. Obviously, and I love the quarterback. I love the receivers, the defensive additions. Walter Nolan is one of those additions that I don't think gets talked about enough. And they've been on the cusp so many times. That's who I've got it to right now.
So we
were talking about the coaches in the SEC earlier, and my point was exactly what you said about Texas as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with Sarkisian having coached even as a coordinator in the conference, how do you slate him? Where do you position him as a coach in the SEC, considering he's not gone through that grind as a head coach?
Well, I mean, I think he's as well positioned as anybody could be coming into the league, but you're still you're placing demands on players that haven't gone through that grind. I mean, I'm not saying these are all kids out of high school that have never played more than a 10-game regular season. Or I'm talking about these players that have you get through Oklahoma and then you've got Kansas or you've got Iowa State or you got Baylor or whatever.
Right.
Those aren't on this schedule. Like those are not on Texas's schedule. They're not on Oklahoma's schedule. You don't really get to exhale. And then once you get into October, you don't get a chance to do that. I mean, look at Texas. They after they play Oklahoma, they've got Georgia. Like that is, and then they've got a bye week.
Yeah.
Probably could use that in between those two. But my point is depth, absolute focus for 60 minutes every single Saturday. You can't have bad practices. You can't have bad attitudes. You can't have bad chemistry. It's just a lot that goes into succeeding in this conference.
Go ahead.
Okay. So coaching wise, there's been a lot of turnover here in the last few years with Kirby kind of taking over that position. Is there somebody that is Lane a candidate for the second best coach in the conference?
Wow.
I mean, it's hard to name a guy, I think, in that spot.
It is. It probably is. I mean, that is tough. I never really think about it in
Mark
terms
Stoops
of that
been there
way.
for 12 years.
He's been there a long time. But there's kind of this Kentucky ceiling that he hasn't been able to really break through. But I mean, my God, what he's done at Kentucky
he's
is
at least
exceptional.
Beat Florida. They hadn't beaten Florida in 30 years. I mean, so there's some
times
ceiling
now,
he's broken through. He just hasn't gotten to win it.
Exactly right. I mean, he's won 10 games at Kentucky, which seemed ridiculous, at one particular point. Lane is up there. There's a lot of guys that are on their way to being great coaches. Sark is one. I think BB is one. Josh Heupel's probably on his way to that. There's a lot of up-and-comers because of, like you said, Mark, the amount of change that we've had over the years.
Mm-hmm. Dari, what's a realistic expectation for OU the next 10 years? Let's say 10 years from now.
Okay.
How many times did they play in the Southeastern Conference Championship game? How many times did they win the Southeastern Conference Championship?
In the next 10 years.
Next 10 years.
Let's put OU in Atlanta in the next 10 years. God, I'm going to say a number, and OU fans aren't going to like it, but I don't mean any disrespect by it. This is just a nasty league. I'm going to say twice, and they win it once.
I just said
How's
3
that
and
sound?
2, and that's probably too much. And I'm not even that high on OU this next year. So, I mean, I don't – but you look back through OU in 75 years of football, and they've won 40 conference championships.
No, I know. This ain't the Big 8 and it ain't the Big 12, though. That's okay, so you say 3 and 2. What about you, Cale?
I said 2 and 3. I said it's somewhere
You said
between
same thing.
pretty
Roughly
much
the
same
same
thing as
thing.
you.
Okay.
But the fan base, too. Is that going to be good enough? It has to be.
Well, I mean,
but the good thing is now that the playoff is expanded, and so
That's
you can
right.
still
No
not
doubt.
be there and still have a good
you
season.
finish 3rd or 4th. And look, if OU goes 9 and 3, there's a real good shot they're going to be in the playoff. I said this to Norman last week. I said, here's my advice for OU fans. For right now, this year in particular, and maybe even next, enjoy the ride, but don't get all worked up about the results. Like, just enjoy SEC football. Go into those sites, them coming to you, the teams on the schedule. Just enjoy it's going to be a hell of a ride.
Did you stay at the Noun when you were there?
I think's awesome. Yes, I did. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's good.
That is beautiful.
Kale's got some connections
Got
there,
some
man.
Connections over
Kale,
there.
Kale get into the speakeasy and all that stuff. He's got a tab, a running
Do
tab.
you have one? That restaurant thing there on floor 2 was
Yeah.
never open though. When
you got to call.
it was
You should have called us.
I didn't know. I did not know
gotta
Cale
look that
Gundy had the
Hey,
key.
real quick. So I want to ask you this: how come Texas A&M's never succeeded in the SEC?
That's a great question, man. That's a great question. I don't know. And I think there are times when you see programs that have all of the resources and all of the potential, but they continuously fall short. You have to wonder from a programmatic level what's wrong. I don't know the depths of that.
Right.
Kevin Sumlin, like Kevin, never really had a good defense. Jimbo lived off of Jameis Winston's success, I think, for a really long time. Never really developed another quarterback at A&M, and then offense is what kind of held them back. It's hard to say. Again, like in a league like this, it's kind of all got to click, right? Look, LSU had a worldly offense last year, had a miserable defense, and as a result, had a disappointing season. It's kind of all got to play together, like Bama has over the years, like Georgia has in their 2 championship runs. It just never has happened at A&M. It's as long as you coached, let alone played, but as long as you coached, how hard is it to have every element of a squad come together in all the big moments when you have to have them for a full season and a postseason?
It is. It's hard.
I'm going to throw out the live golf argument and say that what they paid Jimbo took I'm not saying that he didn't want to win, but I think it took away the requirement to win. He knew he was getting paid a ton of money no matter what. And I think that held him back some. Now, I tend to agree with you. I think that there could be problems at an administrative level that we don't know about because it doesn't make sense with as much money as there is around that school that they've not been better than they have.
And they've now been through they're in a third athletic director.
Yeah.
And so Trev will have his hands full there.
Brad, that was one of the
It's
schools.
an interesting hire, but I think that he's a guy that might be able to do some things we need. We got to get out of here. We're going to die. Hey, let's do this when
Don't
you're not
die.
so busy.
I don't
man.
want you to die.
No, we're not dying.
Thanks,
we're not
Dari.
dying
You got
in
it.
a figurative
Mark,
way.
enjoyed
Thanks,
it,
Dari,
guys.
man. Good to see you again. Dari Nowkhah with SEC Network. We'll get with Dari when he's got some more time. He's a busy man. We got to take a quick break. The OU player is going to come join us here soon. Stay tuned to the middle of the day show on the Sports Animal.
in the Sports Animal app.
The Sports Animal Studios, powered by the OKC Thunder. Looking to stay connected to all things Thunder youth? Sign your young fan up for the Thunder Rookies Club to gain access to online activities and start earning points for Thunder prizing. Join for free today within the Thunder app or at okcthunder.com/rookies.
It is the middle of the day show on the Sports Animal. Sorry, I forgot. I was waiting for Mark to talk. Mark and Cale are at SEC Media Days in Dallas at the Omni. I am at Remington Park. I'm going to tell you about what's going on at Remington in a couple of minutes. Before we do anything else, I want to hear what Cale was going to say about Texas A&M when I talked about Jimbo having that security. I mean, you saw what it cost them to get rid of Jimbo. So he had this unprecedented job security, which I think, like I said, I don't think it took away the desire of him to win, but I think that I don't think it helped matters any. Cale, what were you going to say about Texas A&M?
It was the one school that it seemed like for about 15 years that we as assistant coaches would say, man, if I could have one job, that's the job I want. I mean, they're in a perfect location, talent all over the place, tons of money, beautiful facilities. And I mean, just, I can remember we were like, okay, such and such, we hope you get this job. I mean, I can remember, tell my brother one day, man, I'd love for you to be good head coach at Texas A&M. I want to go to A&M, It just seemed like that they've always had everything that they needed to be a successful program, and they just haven't done it, I don't know.
And on Jimbo Fisher, I don't know that it was as much that he put it on easy street when he got the money, but I think the success that he had at Florida State went to his head, because I think that he, based on the people that I know that have worked there, it was not a good working environment. It's not everybody that's worked
I've heard
there.
that too.
So
I
it's just
heard that.
that also that he became, I think he felt he was so smart that he was going to coach the quarterbacks and run the offense, and there weren't many guys that were able to do what Jameis did. And he wasn't able to adjust. So I think that because like Dari said, they had good defenses. It was all on Jimbo's part of the equation that it didn't work.
Well, it is incredible that Texas A&M, a historic program the way that it is, and with all of the resources that they have and have continued to have, that they've not been able to take that next step.
Yeah, I mean, not even just once. Not even get close.
Right. You just go to the conference championship even. It's just – and I think Elko's a good coach, and maybe he'll be the guy to turn the tide, but if you pardon the expression. But, they just have not been able to get there.
You've heard this phrase, right? I mean, more money than sense.
Yeah.
I mean, and so I think that kind of applies a little bit to Texas A&M, is the fact that culture, kind of the school, it's a working man engineer type culture. You know what I'm saying? It's not Texas. It's not super elitist. And I think that they've never hired a coach that kind of fits that school. They always are going for a flashy hire. I mean, it's been that way for a long period of time. R.C. Slocum, people didn't like him, but he's been about as successful as they've had.
Correct.
At that school, especially with the mentality of defensive coach. We'll take a quick break here, but I want to bring this up before we go transitioning subjects a little bit. Did you guys see Jaylen Brown get caught on a camera last night saying, I don't think Bronny is a pro?
He's trying to backtrack it now, but yeah, I did see it.
I mean, you don't have to be a lip reader to see what he's saying there, right?
Well, what's wrong?
No, that's dirty.
He just told the truth. What's wrong with people telling the damn truth?
Everyone knows that's the truth. I think everybody is saying it, but the problem is there's too many people out there trying to kiss up to LeBron, trying to make this something that happens. I mean, I'm not mad at Jaylen Brown about it.
Well,
I think
maybe
that
he's
it's kind
not
of
a kiss-up guy.
Well, but he's not saying that in front of a microphone. He's saying that it's unfair to him to blast this out there for somebody to zoom in on him that close to take advantage of a private conversation. Everybody's scared to death to say anything that's going to make LeBron mad.
Well, maybe LeBron can call him now. They can talk about it.
LeBron, this is a disservice to the player. I mean,
100%.
But you know who it's a disservice to?
I wonder if it's going to take LeBron. How long is going to take LeBron to figure out this is a bad idea? me pushing this on.
Well, he
everybody.
should have figured it out already.
He
And the
hasn't.
person that's got the worst end of this out of everybody is Bronny.
Bronny.
And LeBron is the one that's done it to it. Right? He's basically the Lakers, whether he told them to or not, they drafted Bronny to make LeBron happy. And listen, I'm not saying that Bronny doesn't have the potential to be a player. Maybe he does. I just don't think that we know yet, which is why it was odd that the Lakers would do that, except to make LeBron happy. But LeBron is putting way more pressure on Bronny than would otherwise be there by the way that this thing is played out. And I think that's the biggest unfortunate element of this for anybody. And Bronny's the one that's got to shoulder that.
I mean,
Because
LeBron
there's no downside to LeBron.
LeBron could have easily figured this out by watching Curb Your Enthusiasm season 11 with Sophia Maria or Maria Sophia.
Right.
You don't put somebody
You're exactly
in a
right.
position where they're just destined to fail, especially not your kid. That's bad.
That may be the greatest reference in the history of the Middle of the Day show, and it may be the only ever reference to Maria Sophia, but it is spot on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll take the compliment, but it is by far not even close to the greatest reference on this show. You've had many, many better than that.
I don't know. That's pretty great and pretty unbeaten path.
You are at Remington Park, where you can be a winner, unlike Bronny in the NBA.
Yeah, there's a huge race on Saturday, the Haskell Stakes at Monmouth in New Jersey. It's $1 million race of 3-year-olds. You could bet on that this coming Saturday. Also, this weekend, Del Mar starts their racing. Saratoga is already underway. You can simulcast bet all of those tracks. Thoroughbred season starts here at Remington on August 16th. Normal races will begin at 6:30 p.m. Derby Day is Sunday, September 29th for the Oklahoma Derby, so make your plans now to be here for that. You could come in, and they've got all kinds of special things that you can rent. You could rent a suite. You could do whatever you want to have a great day for Oklahoma Derby Day. And then, of course, they got Bricktown Brewery opens every day at 11. The casino is always open. No parking costs, no admission costs. It's a great place if you're looking for an evening out. Come check it out at Remington Park, I-44 and I-35. We're going to continue with more from SEC Media Days. Oklahoma players coming up on the Middle of the Day show on 98.1, the Sports Animal, and the Sports Animal app.
The Total Dominance Hour.
The vast majority of these college athletes are disciplined, smart, of high character, good people with tremendous work ethic, and there's no wonder that I think a disproportionate number
anytime at thesportsanimal.com or the Sports Animal app.
It is the middle of the day show on a Tuesday. Brad Copeland at Remington Park. Cale Gundy is at the Omni in Dallas, part of the SEC Media Days. Oklahoma is on the clock, and Mark is actually off getting some material from members of the Oklahoma contingent. So Cale and I are going to finish this thing up. Cale, I wanted to you weren't around. Mark and I were talking earlier about Joe Schoen, the GM of the New York Giants, and the Giants were the focus of the Hard Knocks off-season series that HBO started this year, and he was on tape basically telling Saquon Barkley that he needed to go out and see what the market would pay him in free agency. And in some ways you could look at it as being a decent guy by saying, hey, I don't want to put the franchise tag on you again. Go out and see what the market will pay you. But he winds up letting the guy go in free agency. If the Philadelphia Eagles win a Super Bowl, or if they dominate New York this year, there are going to be some fans that say, hey, you could have handled that better than you did. Now the San Francisco 49ers wind up in a similar spot. Now, they didn't do it on tape, on film, but Brandon Ayuk has now officially requested a trade from San Francisco, and that basically takes a lot of power away from San Francisco. I don't know if they thought they were going to get a deal done with him. I don't know if they thought that he would let the season go before he put their feet to the fire on getting an extension. But now, basically, the power that they had in that situation is gone by him saying, I want to be traded somewhere else. Now, they'll still get some value for him, but, man, as good as San Francisco is as an organization, I don't think they've handled it very well because he has been very disgruntled from the get-go.
I'm a little surprised with that. But again, we don't know the full details and all this stuff. We just see bits and pieces, and we hear bits and pieces, and again, at the end of the day, it's all business, and people have to kind of handle things the way that they see fit. I know this. Saquon Barkley, I think he is one of the top 2 or 3 backs in the NFL. That was one guy that I wouldn't want to leave. But if he has to do it, he's got to do it and test the market. And if they're not going to be willing to pay him, then maybe that's the right thing to do, and just happen to get recorded and be on TV.
I don't know. Maybe they think that, okay, we'll let somebody else overpay for him, knowing that they're going to have to bid high enough that we won't come in and pay that freight.
Right.
But to let him go in the division to a team that's already got a really good framework. Now, they didn't have a great year last year, but it seems like they've done some things in terms of changing coordinators, changing the way that they're going to scheme their games, that Philadelphia ought to have a turnaround this year. And adding him to Jalen Hurts and some of the other pieces that they've got there, that's the worst of all scenarios for me for a New York Giants fan.
They were in the middle part of the season. What were they, 9-1, 10-1?
They were 10-0, I think.
They were rolling. They looked like they were going to be the team that everybody needs to catch, and the team that's going to have to be beat. That they were on a path to win the Super Bowl, and then they just completely took a nosedive. And
the wheels completely came off in the second half of the season,
and so much that I don't know if I've seen a college program, or can't think of an NFL team where the wheels came off so much and so quickly like it did for them. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of that again goes to a lot of that goes to the offensive coordinator position, but you also got to look at Sirianni too, because he's the guy that's calling those shots, and I think there's a lot on the table for Philadelphia this year. But man, I think that they've done a really good job in putting some players on the field that ought to make them better.
But wasn't that offensive coordinator calling those plays in the first 10 games?
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
What happened?
I don't know.
There's a lot of speculation that's out there, but
But back to the Brandon Ayuk thing, like you would think that San Francisco would have gone to him and said, hey, look, we want to get a deal done. We want you to be a part of this team. But with the monetary dynamic, the way that it is in the NFL, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort, but we want you to be here. And whatever they said to Brandon Ayuk, what he took from that and turned around and told the public was, they don't want me here. And so to me, I look at that and say, man, that's poor management. that's not the way that, whether you intended it or not, that's not what you want a guy that you think is a crucial part of your team to feel like.
Well, and I'm sure Brandon, had the conversation with his agent too, and they probably said, "Hey, this is how we need to handle this deal." It's a two-sided deal, the whole thing, and he just it's a tough deal. Tough deal.
So now it's going to be interesting to see what teams feel like that a really good receiver, which is an important piece of an NFL team, feel like this guy is there and we've got the resources to go out and get him. I mean, I immediately think of Atlanta. I immediately think of Tampa. If they think that Baker is that good, I mean, some of the teams that were good last year, maybe Chicago. Listen, Chicago, that would give them a guy that has been a really good player for San Francisco, might be a really good piece of their receiving core. There's going to be teams out there that are going to make offers, but they don't have to make the offers now that he's demanded a trade that they might have had to 2 weeks ago before we knew that it had gotten to the point that it has in San Francisco.
Seems like Chicago would be a good destination.
They've already got a bunch. They got a lot of they've upgraded that position, I think, enough.
What about with Baker?
I think that could help. I'm a little disturbed at just the amount of IU issues that he had.
Well, but how much do we know were the issues that were generated by him or the issues that were generated by what he felt was a lack of respect from the organization? That's what Kayla and I were just talking about. Like, to me, if nothing else, they wanted to make him feel like he was important to the team, but they were going to have issues doing the financing of it and that he needed to be patient with them. And what it seemed like they made him feel like was, we don't really care if you're here or not.
They have a lot of expensive players, and so they're trying to make it by without, I think, having to. It would be interesting what they do with Purdy, but I don't know. I just got a very, very interesting text. Would you like me to read it to you?
Yes.
Okay. This one is from Traber, who's coming up next. You guys are on TV here at the station, and y'all look like the Six-Head brothers. Nothing bad. LOL.
I don't know what Six-Head is.
It's
I
more
don't
than
either.
a forehead.
You know what that is?
There you go.
That's just, he's trying to get some revenge for us talking about his hair product earlier on the
That's
headset.
probably fair. That's okay. I mean, anyway, we'll take that. We'll take that shot.
Well, you know what?
We'll
we can always do our interviews, and we'll keep the interviews, and we'll play him for the middle of the day show tomorrow, and not let him be a part of it.
The Six-Head comment. Well, at least we got some hair. At least there's a difference between the head and then whatever else is up there.
I have no comment.
All right.
I ain't got time to
it's
waste
going to be
on that.
it's going to be a fun hour coming up in just a couple of minutes here. Let me talk about Remington Park one more time before we get out of here. If you're looking for a place to play and you don't want to have to drive halfway across the state, you got it right here. Remington Park, full-fledged casino, 24/7, no parking fee, no entry fee. And it's a great place if you want to come and play in the casino and then move over and do some online wagering or some simulcast wagering on horse races. You can do all of that. Saratoga is underway. You can bet on those races now. Del Mar starts this weekend. Haskell Stakes, Haskell Day at Monmouth Park is on Saturday. They've got Thoroughbred season starting in a month on August 16th. Those will start at 6:30 p.m. on most evenings, and Oklahoma Derby Day is Sunday, September 29th. One thing you want to remember when you come, if you're not already in Club Remington, you need to be. Bring your ID, and they'll get you signed up, and you'll be eligible to win match play. Earn 10 points, you get $10 in free play, and you can earn up to $50 in free play by being a member of Club Remington. So if you want a place to play, come check out Remington Park. You know how great it is if you've been here. If you haven't, come check it out. Grab a meal at the Bricktown Brewery, which is open every day, and make an evening of it at Remington Park at I-44 and I-35. That is to do it for us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We've got a lot more OU coverage coming up, and don't forget that we'll have all this stuff up on the website, at thesportsanimal.com. Cisco's running around here today like he's doing 3 cone drills and stuff like that. I mean, he's moving with great speed. So I just spent a little bit of time in listening to Danny Stutzman. So we'll have a lot more coverage coming up throughout the afternoon on the Ultimate Show.
All right, very good. Enjoy it. Lock that door tonight before you go to bed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'll talk to you fellas on Thursday.
Sounds good. We'll see you, Brad.
All right. Jim is up next on 98.1 The Sports Animal and thesportsanimal.com.
The countdown to the 2024
See you, boys.
fall season rolls on. Oklahoma, now in the SEC, attends their first SEC Media Days, and we have it covered. Listen to the Sports Animal.